blah 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 blah. Hello everybody and welcome to I'll Tell You What TV, an F1 podcast where we're going to be talking this week about this weekend's Monaco Grand Prix. I'm sure we're also going to be talking about a few other things as well, and we've got our predictions to do for this weekend's race. I'm Dave, we've got Steve, we've got James. Hope you're both well this evening. So Monaco, crack on, where do we start?
Well, anything can happen at Monaco. It's one of them races where you can get unusual winners. Hannes won it years ago from, I think he started 6th, and okay, not many people finished that particular race, but yeah, could it be one where Alonso could shine, maybe?
Could it be one where Grosjean finally wins?
No.
he's going into the barrier, he is. It's... Yeah. Well, I mean, interestingly, I was having a look at the Sky F1 Facebook page earlier today, and I was looking at a few people's Facebook comments, and there seems to be a bit of a divide when it comes to Monaco. It's a bit of a Marmite track for F1 fans. You got some that love it and think no matter what it should be on the calendar, and others who think it's an absolute waste of time because you're never going to see an overtake. Whoever gets on pole is probably going to win. It's going to be boring and it shouldn't be an event in F1 at all. So your guys' views on that argument?
If Senna was still alive now, you try and say to Senna that it's a boring track and see what his response would be, because he's a guy that has been out in the lead, like 26-second lead, and put it in the wall. He's been, he's won from about 3rd on the grid when he stopped Mansell from coming past him, and Mansell was on fresh tyres. So yeah, it is difficult to overtake, but it's not about necessarily the overtaking. It's about avoiding the wall, getting your strategy right, and being able to stop cars from overtaking you. So as good as it is, people say it's not good for overtaking. Look at it on the other hand. It's about drivers preventing people from overtaking, and that in itself is a skill, and it is a circuit where you need to be good at preventing people from overtaking you.
For me, it is a bit boring, but I see it completely different to all other Grand Prix. I already put my brain in that I'm not going to see a load of overtakes. The last time I saw a fair few overtakes was the year when Hamilton basically said it's because I'm black.
Yeah, that went.
Yeah, I think it was 2011.
Sorry guys, sorry James, just hang on a second, mate. I'm not sure if anyone can hear me.
Oh no, what?
No, I don't mean on microphone, I mean on the actual broadcast, so just bear with me 1 second. It's alright, I can be heard. It's alright, OBS, the recording software I use, was showing me something different to usual. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, so, 2011 was probably the last year of proper decent race. I think that when, Sebastian Vettel did a 1-stop and everybody else had done a 3-stop and they were, all over him. And then there were a big crash at the swimming pool chicane. But yeah, I always see it completely different to any other Grand Prix. I see it as, right, qualifying, that's your race. And then your race is who can keep it out of barrier.
Yeah.
And if you put it in barrier, you're out. But I always just see it as the qualifying is 90% of your race. And don't expect a lot, but it's more about just watching the drivers on the limit, trying to keep it out of the wall.
I mean, it's one of those circuits that it's been on the F1 calendar for so long now. To remove it would be ridiculous, because it is it's an iconic racetrack, and yeah, okay, it's not easy to pass people there, but when somebody is able to pass, it makes it all the more special. But something I know that was talked a lot about last year and the year before was that if you tried to get any team to agree to drop the Monaco Grand Prix, none of them would agree to it. And part of the reason for that is that's the race they do their deals at. So that's where they invite their big sponsors or potential sponsors. They bring them to Monaco for the rich and famous posh party. This is Formula One. That's where a lot of the deals are done. So it's very much as it is an important race, it's also an extremely important business factor for the teams.
How many times have we said before at other circuits, if there was a wall there, you wouldn't be able to go that particular point on the circuit. You wouldn't be able to overtake off the track, or you wouldn't be able to cut the corner if there was a wall there. At Monaco, there are walls there, and it makes it, for me, more of a showcase because of
that.
Deadly silence.
I think if you had, I don't know. I think if you had maybe slightly narrower cars.
Well, I was going to say smaller. I was going to say smaller cars. I mean, the cars are what, 5.5, 6 meters long.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be good to see how like cars like Mercedes-Benz go up at the hairpin compared. But then I always say I do like the wider cars, and I've got no problem with the bigger tyres. They actually make the cars look better. But I do think the cars are way too long from front to back. And yeah, that ain't going to be a massive difference around the majority of circuits. But I don't know, just through that hairpin every year, they just seem to be going slower and slower through that bloody hairpin. I don't know if it's just me.
Yeah, it could be you, but you could be right. Maybe it's just that you experience the cars going so quick everywhere else. I mean, it is the slowest corner in Formula One, but in the past you have seen potential overtakes done in that hairpin, whereas I don't think there's really been any successful ones done there for a number of years. Any attempts have ended up in failure.
The last one that worked was the now defunct Adrian Suttle on Alonso.
Yeah.
And I think we're probably one of the only moves where you're like, oh, that was decent. I think as well.
He did it twice in the same race, didn't he, to two different people?
And I think Hulkenberg did it out of not the hairpin. I think it was like 2 corners later, the entry where Button shoved Pascal Wehrlein against the wall.
Yeah.
I think Hulkenberg did that move, but obviously the driver that Hulkenberg were against had actually looked in his mirrors that time. Yeah,
it would have helped. I mean, Monaco's never going to be a track for massive overtaking. I mean, the thing is, the track has evolved a lot over the years, and what it used to be like in its very early days was a much more wider layout of circuit, much simpler, much faster actually. And over the years, corners got tighter, the parts of the track they race on got narrower. For example, like the swimming pool section and all that kind of stuff, that used to be about 2-3 lanes wide in the olden days. Like, it was an absolute flat out sort of bendy straight to a hairpin pretty much. So it did used to be a lot faster in the past, but obviously as the city's been built up more and more, and even where they put the pit lane now, it does create a bit of a narrower racetrack. And I think it's just one of those things you have to accept, that you're not going to see a lot of overtaking, but you may have a good chance of seeing a crash. There probably will be a safety car, and it's a circuit where power is not going to be key. So teams like Red Bull all of a sudden could be a favourite to win. McLaren, I don't think they'll be a favourite to win, but have got an opportunity of mixing it with Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes. So Renault maybe. Force India are going to struggle. Williams, I'd be surprised if one of their cars doesn't end up in the water. So it is a circuit that offers a very different challenge to a lot of the teams.
Yeah, I agree. I think the only corner I wish would be reverted is the one after the swimming pool chicane.
Yeah, the right-left chicane.
That right-left chicane where the right-handers now become quicker. Which, yeah, it can cause problems of people going too quick through there. But I prefer people to turn in and then go, oh shit, I've hit my rear tyre, bang. Rather than going way too quick and then hitting a barrier twice as quick as... Yeah. In a way, I think that's a little bit more dangerous because they're taking more speed through the corner rather than judging it because there's a 90-degree right-hander.
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting one in that I know coming out of the tunnel they've had to make changes to that chicane and the runoff area there because the amount of cars that were losing it coming out of the tunnel over the years. I mean, that is an area where there's a good chance of seeing a big crash, but also potential for overtakes. Now, the chicane that you're on about, because they've opened it up on the entry a little bit, it means that the corner, like I say, is a little bit quicker. It reduces the opportunity for someone to chuck it up the inside there as well. But I agree, because they've opened up the runoff area on the left hand side, which I can kind of see for a safety aspect, it does make people think, well, I can go in much quicker because I've got room to run off. And I don't think that that's necessarily had the desired effect. I mean, basically what it's done is a car now ends up in the barrier on the right. There is now room for a safety car and following cars to get through easily in the runoff bit. But that's what red flags are for.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I was looking today while on my lunch break, I was watching some highlights of 2007 where I think it were Alonso and Hamilton. And going through that swimming pool chicane, I've not seen it so much in recent years, but watching the 2007 car, actually, back end going sideways through there because they were pushing so hard, and then as they're going through the corner, it literally that split second, I think Alonso were like opposite locks through the swimming pool chicane, and I'm like, fucking hell, that is... I think that's the kind of thing I tune in to watch. Drivers pushing to the limit and thinking, shit, if I don't do this outlap pretty good, I'm going to get done on the exit. I think probably as well because the pit lane exit at Monaco is so narrow, it's probably one of the best pit lane exits because you can sort of see, oh, here comes the faster driver, but then the faster driver's got to do turn one properly, whereas drivers coming out of the pit lane have a little bit of an advantage.
I mean, when you think about it as well, I mean, we've talked before about the frustration of the engines having so many engine modes on the steering wheel and stuff like that. If they scrapped that and there was one engine mode, then racers around the likes of Monaco all of a sudden have a totally different aspect to them, because then it's down to, okay, who's got the biggest balls to use their throttle pedal the most? Because if you want to look after your engine around Monaco, lift off more. If you don't want to look after your engine, you want to go and win, press it a bit harder. And that's, whereas, I mean, where's the bravery in turning the engine down but keeping your foot planted? That's not bravery.
No, but I just wish there had never been any of these like engine modes put in.
Yeah.
Obviously, I understand why they've been put in, but obviously there's more and more of these engine modes going to be used because the engines have to last so long.
Yeah.
Whereas back in the day, I think when Hamilton came into Formula 1, they were like using a new engine every race, so there were no orders to, oh, let's look after the engine, or oh, let's dial it back a bit. No, it was fucking, let's go win.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about it as well. I mean, Monaco is one of those tracks as well where teams are probably going to use an engine that has already had a few miles on it, because it's not an engine damaging circuit really, given the nature of it and the fact that they probably are going to have the engines turned down quite a bit. And maybe that's where it'll benefit the likes of Red Bull, Renault, McLaren, because if they decide, you know what, let's have a slightly fresher engine, use a slightly higher engine mode, they may be able to get a bit more out of it as well. But going back onto what we were saying last week, they're factors that as a spectator you don't get to know about, so you don't get to know if it's having that much of an effect on the outcome of a race, whether someone's on a new engine, an old engine, which engine mode they're in. Whereas if there are no engine modes, then you know they're in engine mode 1 and that's full power available. And I do think that would be better. But I did find it interesting that the FIA have been saying they've been saying recently that they are looking at potential. Well, they've been discussing a number of things that they could change in the following years in Formula 1, including things like scrapping blue flags, the potential to get rid of DRS if the new front wings work next season, or even having shorter DRS zones and stuff like that, which I do think could be quite interesting. But I do think that they need to go down the route of saying, well, look, if Formula 1 is supposed to have some kind of comparison to driving on the roads, how many of us are switching engine modes? We're not. So why are they? I mean, they only do it to save the engines, and that's not the right way that it should be done. But there we go. Anyway, enough about engines. 20 minutes in, we could rant about engines all week, really. So how many times have you got to the Monaco Grand Prix weekend and gone to watch practice on a Friday and realised you missed it by a day?
Most times.
I think there were one year where I was like, oh shit, no way. But the majority I've been like quite happy. I think in the between like 2010 and 2013, Thursdays were my day off, so I was quite happy when Monaco rolled around. What I used to hate, because I used to work in Leeds City Centre, where they had these big massive boards like scrolling through news, and if I'd ever worked on a Sunday, I always walked with my head down, like, because I thought I'm not seeing the result because I know it was going to pop up. But there were always the odd occasion where I'm just walking through going, oh, I can't wait to get home and watch Grand Prix, and it pops up going, Vettel won.
Yeah. Fuck, I hate that. The amount of times just like totally avoiding social media or stuff like that. I did it with a couple of years ago. I'd avoided all social media, but I had to go to the shop. When I went to the shop, I got to the counter, they had the radio on and the news come on and the sports news come on, and they said like, Lewis Hamilton wins again, and I'm like, you're fucking joking me, aren't you? So it is annoying when you get your spoilers. Talking about spoilers though, I sort of made a bit of a joke about Williams. They are struggling. Is Monaco potentially a circuit that they could have a slightly better chance? No. Well, that answers that then. Well, the reason I mention it is because Mark Hughes, who's an F1 expert, he's the guy that basically gives Crofty his practice pointers in the Sky practice sessions, and he's got a piece that is talking about the problems with Williams. And Robert Kubica has also spoken about some of the problems with the car. So I'll mention a couple of these quotes here to you to see if this sounds like a car that you would want to drive around the streets of Monaco. So the problems are exactly the same as they were 3 months ago. It says, I'm not the right person to go too much into the details. We know exactly what is our weakest part of the car. We've started a project which should help us to understand better, improve it and hopefully solve it completely, but it's not a question of 1 day or 1 month. It's even more time. So we have to be patient. Miracles will not happen. Coming to Barcelona, I was expecting to be in a difficult situation, and practice 1 was even more difficult than expected. We will try to help our main drivers with the balance of the car to make it easier for them to drive. Performance is a different story. We have to fix our many issues in order to think about performance and trying to attract the maximum from what we have. We have to somehow understand we're in this situation, but apart from being slow, it was nearly impossible to keep the car on the track. That's something we need to change in order to make our drivers' lives easier. I'm not finished yet. The car looked like it wanted to spin as soon as the wheel was turned. Its front end looks stiff and wooden, with not enough compliance to absorb loads without the front wheels locking, and its balance looks awful. The whole car looks to be operating at a frequency different from that which can be managed by a human being. Barcelona, with longer corners than most, meant that it spent a greater proportion of the lap in this unbalanced state than on shorter corner circuits. Do you want to have a go in that one, guys?
Oh, I don't go in there. But it's going to make for interesting watching, that's for sure.
Well, I would, if I'd been like, you know, like Claire Williams, and said, right, we've got until European season, I'll probably give you like 2 races into European season. We don't have it solved by then. Fucking drop all development on this car and let's start working on next year's car.
Yeah.
What's the point in trying to solve a problem which is pretty fundamental? And what I don't understand is if that was a Ferrari, whoever the boss is,
I'd be fired.
Would be fucking, they'd be shot and put in a carrier bag and then dumped in sea. I don't understand Williams. We haven't heard a thing about who's responsible for this car. Whoever is responsible is clearly.
Is it a Paddy Lowe car, or is this the car that he inherited?
I don't think I remember a Paddy Lowe car that was shit. I can't remember who. Actually, I might have a little Google search, see who made the 2009 McLaren, because when that came out, that was a massive pile of wank.
That was the one. Sorry, that was the one that was updated late on in the season, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think by the time they got to Germany, they kinda cracked it, which were at that time the Nürburgring Grand Prix. But I think Hamilton ended up having a puncture from Webber and Barrichello that were fighting out for the win. But then from that point on, that McLaren were semi-decent, and by the time it got to Abu Dhabi, I think they had some sort of problem, but the car was the quickest there. It could have potentially won the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix in 2009. So that's a story of McLaren going from an absolute shit show to ending the season going, actually we've made
a good recovery.
Fix it.
Yeah.
Williams, I don't see him doing that. I see him just moseying about at the back.
Well, the thing is, if you remember when Kubica was at BMW Sauber, right? They had one season where he'd won, I think, 1 or 2 races, and there was a potential fight for the title. But about 7 or 8 races in, the team turned around and said, "Right, that's it. Development of this car has ended." And he was not happy. He's like, "Hang on a minute, I've got a chance of winning." And they said, "It doesn't matter. We need to focus on next year's car." Now, in that situation, I didn't like that mentality. I could understand it, but I didn't like it.
What I don't understand about that is that 2009 BMW was shite as well.
Yeah, it was. If they'd have improved it, he would have had more of a chance of winning races and fighting for the title. But in Williams' current situation, I would fully understand them saying, "Right, let's stop on this car. Let's focus on next year." That would be more productive for them, rather than spending the rest of this year chasing the tails, trying to find out what the problem is, and then getting to a point where they go, "Hang on, what about next year's car?" And by that point, it's too late. They're already behind.
As well, next year they won't have the Martini sponsorship, so if you've got that sponsorship this year, use it.
Yeah.
Because next year we're going to see a bloody navy blue car with probably just a few sponsors on it.
Sega right down the side.
Solid edge.
Yeah.
Really.
I mean, it could be that bad. Interestingly, though, Mercedes have been saying that they are bloody worried about their chances at Monaco. Toto Wolff has been saying that they haven't found out yet why their car doesn't like to be quick around Monaco. Hasn't been over the last few years. They've been there or thereabouts with a shout for the win, but it's in the Mercedes dominant era. It's not exactly been dominant there, has it?
I've got an answer for him. It's because it's so fucking long. It's
Yeah.
Then it'd go a second quicker.
But yeah, Mercedes are believing that Red Bull will be the team to beat this weekend. And interestingly, I don't know if you've seen it. Have you seen the video of Ricciardo and Verstappen, what they've been up to this week?
I've seen it.
The Aston Martin, I think it is, and Caravan Racing.
Yep.
James is thinking, no, what the fuck's this?
I think I remember him doing something similar around Austria, but they ended up like smashing the caravans to shit.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
that's pretty much what Daniel Ricciardo did. Cause I can't remember what circuit it was, but he went around turn 1 after a long straight, pretty quick. He got a massive tank slapper on with his caravan, and pretty much the caravan was to overtake the car, and it dragged him off the track, flipped the caravan upside down, ripped it to shreds. Completely lost control of it.
Yeah, just a bit of money going down the drain there. Aston Martin. If you want to give me an Aston Martin that I can fling about a racetrack, or maybe just Tesco's car park, I'm more than welcome.
yeah, I'd agree with that one. Okay, I'll start reading a few of these notes here. A bit of info from Mercedes, like I said. Toto Wolff saying it's very difficult to undo the DNA of a car, and Monaco, Singapore and Budapest were all tracks where Mercedes underperformed a lot last year. It's a great challenge, and we don't know yet why our car doesn't like to be quick around the corners of Monaco. Hamilton also said that Monaco is going to be a serious challenge and that Red Bull are going to be rapid and very hard to beat. Going on to say that the Red Bulls are particularly good and able to add more downforce, and he thinks that the Ferraris have a little bit more downforce as well, so it will be really interesting to see if Mercedes can catch them. So Mercedes sort of playing cards close to their chest, or they're just saying, look, don't expect much from us, we haven't really got a chance.
It sounds like they're talking themselves down a little bit to put pressure on the other teams.
Yeah. Potentially, but at the same time, I mean, you look at the last 2 years. I'm trying to think. Vettel won it last year. I can't remember if it was the year before that Hamilton won there. But you look at, I mean, Mercedes have not been good there over the last few years. I can see Ferrari doing something dodgy to Kimi Raikkonen again to help Vettel win. But I actually could see Red Bull and perhaps Danny Ricciardo taking a pole and a win at this one.
And do you think Verstappen will be in the wall again?
Yes, I do. I do. Which wall? Where would Verstappen?
Inside wall.
Is it turn 1? Is it the wall at the exit of the chicane? What's up, Bella? What are you crying for? Is it ball?
Where? No, probably it'll be final corner this time for Verstappen. He'll do something stupid there, or just get a little too aggressive on the throttle. I mean, something I haven't done is I haven't looked at what the weather forecast is for this weekend, because I do hope that it's not a wet race. As chaotic as wet races around Monaco can be, I'm not a big fan of them. They don't add to a spectacle of the race. It reduces any possibility of overtaking. So yeah, I'm hoping that it'll be a dry weekend, that's for certain.
Just having a look at the weather forecast now, and it is just a bit overcast on the Sunday, but yeah, pretty much dry. And there's no rain about at all.
You know for a fact that if Red Bull are competitive on Saturday, that means that Jerry Halliwell's going to be all over Martin Brundle on his grid walk. Oh, it's just great to be here in Monaco, you know, because my husband, he runs Red Bull, you know, yeah.
I didn't know he was a Spice Girl, James.
What?
No, I said I didn't know you was a Spice Girl.
Oh yeah, I'm Jerry Halliwell, yeah. Oh blimey, governor.
I didn't know she spoke like that either. Okay, predictions. We might as well get them done out of the way, nice and early. So, who do you think is going to take pole position? Typical Steve going with his usual tactics by the look of it. James, pole?
Raikkonen.
Oh, I'm going to go with Ricciardo. Okay, who do you think is going to win?
Raikkonen.
Ooh. And I think, apologies if you can hear banging by the way folks, I don't know if it's someone outside or my downstairs neighbour. I've got a shaky leg like Christian Horner, so he may be reacting to that. Okay, so...
You know, the camera never shows why his leg's shaking, it's because Jerry Halliwell's...
under the desk, you pervert. Okay, winner. Who's gonna win? I'm gonna say, you know what? I'm gonna say Verstappen.
He'd be in the wall.
He's either gonna be in the wall or he's gonna win the race. Right? He's had such a shit season. It's the kind of season where he could probably go and win at Monaco and everyone goes, oh, all is forgiven. But there, we'll see. Okay, Steve, podium.
Podium will be Vettel, Hamilton, Ricciardo.
James.
Raikkonen. 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 I'll say Raikkonen. Verstappen second.
Hmm.
And Alonso first.
Ooh. Okay, I'm gonna go with. Oh, you know, I'm gonna go different to what I said as a winner. I'm gonna go with Ricciardo, Vettel, Hamilton. That's what I'm gonna go with. Okay, first to crash out.
Sirotkin for me.
There could be so many. But the first one, I'm going to say Grosjean. Grosjean turn one, first lap.
You make out as though he crashes every weekend.
Yeah.
Every other weekend.
Every Friday, every Saturday, every Sunday. Who do I think it will be? I don't know. Ocon. I'm going to go with Ocon. I actually think it'll be Sirotkin, but I'm going to go with Ocon. Okay, so we've got a couple more predictions to do. So I think one of them should be, what lap will the safety car come out on, not including lap 1? I think it's obvious there's going to be a lap 1 safety car. So, safety car, any other point in the race, what lap do you think it might happen?
I reckon it's...
I'm in lap 77.
There's a few. My pen's run out.
72.
Oh,
I've got a feeling it's going to be around about when the first lot of pit stops is going to be, so probably between lap 12 and 18, so I'll say lap 16.
okay.
That's when people start pushing to do an undercut or what have you.
James.
Lap 58.
Oh. I'm going to go with... See, that's an interesting call by James there, because safety cars, there have been a few late-ish safety cars in recent years. I'll go...
They usually kick in about between 10-20 laps from end, and then everybody's bunched up.
Yeah. I'm going to go with... I'll kind of split the difference a bit. 34. Just a random. That'll do. Okay. I reckon closest gets a point on that one.
Okay.
Okay, so we need one more to make a prediction on. Any ideas? On the plane on the way to Monaco.
At what lap will they show Verstappen's family?
You could pick any. It's like bingo. You've got like 20-hour laps.
Yeah.
And he's round-headed moon-faced sister.
Alright, what lap will it be the first time they show the family?
Nah.
I'd say before lap 1 as the lines up on.
Yeah. That happens way too often.
You won't see so many people on pit walks, so we'll be on pit walls that will have to show all celebrities in Gary.
Yeah, then what about this? Number of finishers.
Okay, so it's 20 starters, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'll go with 16.
I'll go with 12.
So that's 16 you said, Steve?
Yeah, you're going with 14.
James going with 12. That's a lot of cars to drop out for it to be 12, but it only takes one bad one. I've got a feeling James is going to end up being right there, you know. Someone fucks up at Lowe's hairpin, easily 8 cars because they end up out of the race. Okay, I'm going to go with...
Grosjean fucks up at the
I could see that happening as well. I'm going to go with 14. So I'm going to split the difference again. I'm going to go with 14. It'll be interesting to see how we get on with those predictions. Anything else you want to talk about regarding Monaco? Anything else that comes to mind? Anything to do with any of the teams or anything like that?
Well, I saw an article today regarding something that Niki Lauda had said, which is, in fact, I'm probably better off finding it again to give you a true quote. But he was saying something about Mercedes wouldn't think twice about moving the sport if the rules weren't going in a direction that was within their sporting kind of mentality, if you know what I mean.
Right. Well, I think Mercedes have got less of a tie with Formula 1 than the likes of Ferrari have, but I mean the thing is, with Niki Lauda, if a reputable media person asks him a question, he'll answer it. He doesn't care whether his answer pisses people off or not. And he's probably right.
The main reason Mercedes are in Formula 1 is to dethrone Ferrari.
Yeah.
Well, this is what.
Ferrari left, I think Mercedes would have
this is what Niki Lauda said. That Mercedes and Ferrari are the teams that are not afraid to walk away from F1 if the new rules and regulations do not suit them. So that's what he's said.
I wonder if that's anything to do with the fact that Mercedes announced this week that they are going to be competing in Formula E, and thousands upon thousands of people have gone, oh, does that mean you're dropping out of Formula 1 then? And Mercedes are like, no, that's not what we've announced. We've announced that we are taking part in Formula E, and we also announced it last year that we would be making this announcement this year to be involved for next year. So no, we're not looking at leaving Formula 1, but people's mentality goes, oh, if they're joining Formula E, they must be leaving Formula 1, blah, blah, blah. Fuck off, knobhead. I'm glad I don't work at Mercedes or one of these teams on their Twitter feed or anything like that. I'd end up losing my fucking mind with the amount of people that, like, it's kind of like you could write an announcement going, hi, my name is Steve Paling, I am gay, and people go, oh, does that mean you're gonna get married to a woman then? It's like, hang on a minute, what's fucking wrong with you? It's like something so simple. Sorry, Steve, but it's like, Mercedes are joining Formula E. They haven't gone, we're joining Formula E, we're going to leave Formula 1 to join Formula. They haven't said that, but people go, oh, what about this? Oh, you're going to leave this? Fuck off.
Yeah. Some else Lauda was saying the Halo system is the worst thing ever done to Formula 1. And I also don't understand why grid girls are not naked, for God's sake.
Oh, maybe they should have been. Was it? We were on podcast, weren't we, when we were talking about the fan zone with the cheerleaders? Yeah. And it's like you can't have grid girls, but you got cheerleaders. It's like, yeah, it's a bit wrong that. But there we go. I mean, Mercedes are going to take part in Formula E. It'll be interesting. Felipe Massa has announced that he's signed up to take part in Formula E. I think we may see Nico Rosberg in Formula E as well. Formula E could get very interesting over the next few years, but it can't compete in the same way that Formula 1 can if it sticks to a few certain key points. And I think the likes of Ross Brawn are wise enough to know what to do to keep F1 above the likes of Formula E.
Yeah, I think they can sort of like look at DTM, and I'm quite a big fan of DTM, but if, for example, somebody said, which sport would you prefer to watch, DTM or Formula 1, majority of people who are not motorsport fans would go watch DTM.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, DTM, obviously, because it's German, they've only got 3 car manufacturers, and by the end of this season, there's only going to be 2. So it's going to end up being a bit like what World Rally were like when it was just Fiat, and that were it. And it was like, well, what's the point?
Yeah.
I think Ross Brawn will like look at Formula E and go, obviously, all car manufacturers are going there. We need to look after what we've got. But at the same time, if car brands such as Ferrari and Mercedes are saying they don't want to compete in a sport where it's equal footing, then, well, more or less equal footing, if they don't want to compete in that and they want everybody else to basically wear running shoes with lead and their drivers to run in running shoes with like socks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's pretty much the advantage that they want, but that's not good for the sport. So unfortunately, I'd say to the independent manufacturers such as like Force India, Williams, I'd be clinging on to them for dear life, saying, look, it's tight at the moment, but just hang on because it can become good. People like Ferrari and Mercedes going, oh, well, we might not be here, we might not be here.
Well, fuck off then.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
All of love.
I mean, this is the thing. Mercedes, they don't need Formula 1. Ferrari does. I know we talked about this on a previous podcast. Mercedes is a big enough brand, a big enough group of different vehicles, cars, trucks, vans, their scope is so big they don't need Formula One. Ferrari is very different. You don't see a Ferrari truck or a Ferrari van. They are Ferrari supercars, sports cars. That is pretty much it for them. So they kind of do need Formula One. So if they want to turn around and go, oh well, we're going to leave if we don't go, okay, then see you later. Fuck off. Because if you leave, that means, I mean, you look at the last couple of races. You get rid of Mercedes, Ferrari, and I'd probably even say Red Bull. And if you get rid of those three teams and just focus on the rest of the cars that have been on the track, all of a sudden you've got an exciting race to watch.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, because the other teams are probably on a more kind of even keel. But it isn't that, that they're too quick so we don't like them. It's just that, I mean, Christian Horner, didn't you say something like, I'm pretty sure I read somewhere this week that you were like, oh well, the rules at the moment are good enough. I'm like, good enough? I don't pay a Sky subscription just to watch something that's good enough. I don't sit down and waste my time. For example, Star Wars, straight away, Solo.
Here we go.
It's alright, it's okay. No offence. I'm not up for going to watch a Star Wars movie, but it's okay. I'll wait for it to come out and be in a bargain bin. I'll watch it then. I probably won't even have it in my Blu-ray collection.
Yeah.
And that's the way that F1 need to look at things and go, we can't just do good enough, we need to be the best.
Yeah.
The tagline is Formula One, it's good enough to watch. Formula One's the pinnacle of motorsport.
Well, it should be Formula One. When Le Mans and F1 race on the same day, which are you tuning into? Or even Formula One and IndyCar, because I mean that was an interesting thing last year with Alonso. I love the fact that he went and did the Indy 500, and I thought it was weird but interesting, that sort of dilemma of, oh well, do I watch like all of the F1 or do I watch Alonso going around Indy?
I've got to say, I'm not a huge fan of watching oval races. Not literally, I got sucked into that.
Yeah.
Just because I was watching Alonso going in, it'd be good to see how he'll compare to people who do it all the time.
Yeah.
And I've got to say, somebody who probably, in terms of practice, probably did like a week's worth of practice, like in terms of full days to prepare, compared to people who do that for a living, to be right up there, that just shows you how fucking shit hot he is.
Yeah. I mean, it was very interesting to see how well he did do, and I mean, from McLaren's perspective, it was a really good move to let him go and do that, because I know that Zach Brown and he both want to return to Indy with a McLaren. They even want to get involved in the IndyCar series with a McLaren, or at least Zach Brown does. But they do want to go back and try and win Indy, and they would have had an opportunity that day to fight for the win if it wasn't for the Honda engine curse. But it does. I mean, we've made predictions this season so far, and okay, I don't think any of us have ever at any point said, oh, Alonso's going to win the race, but we all know, for example, that coming into this weekend's race at Monaco, if the McLaren is good enough, so is Alonso. Now, if the McLaren is good enough, Van Dorn isn't. And it's a little bit like with the Williams. If the Williams isn't good enough, Sorokin and Stroll are not good enough to get that car around the track, to get it to the points, to fight it to the finish. If the Mercedes isn't good enough, you know that Hamilton and Bottas are probably going to be second, third, fourth. If the Ferrari is good enough, then Vettel's going to win it, because Ferrari will make sure that happens. Raikkonen He could, but Ferrari won't let that happen. The Red Bulls, that could easily be good enough to storm away with it, but then it'd be, I mean, what happens at Monaco if Verstappen is behind Ricciardo and Verstappen says, I'm faster than him, what are we going to see?
Well, it seems like they're going to start introducing team orders now at Red Bull. An overtake has to be discussed and arranged and organised. It doesn't seem like they're going to allow them to race now. You've got to. That's why in the last race you had them saying, I'm faster than him." Yeah, he hadn't caught up to him yet, but he was faster. But you don't know what engine modes certain drivers were driving in at that time, and that's why he might have been quicker.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think Danny Ricciardo came up behind him and then went straight up the road. Oh yeah, I'm quicker than him. But then about 8 laps later, we were about 10 seconds behind him. So it's like, well,
yeah, what happened there?
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, it will be an interesting. It'll be interesting to see what is going to happen this weekend. That's for sure. I don't want it to be a Mercedes Ferrari battle. If Red Bull are going to be in it, I want it to be Ricciardo. I want him to be having a season that is telling Mercedes, Ferrari, come and get me. Come and get me and I'll win a championship in your car.
I can see him being at Red Bull next year. I really can. But that might not be a bad thing for him. Because if Red Bull just improve a little bit, then he's got a chance. But he's getting to the point where he's one of the older drivers now. He hasn't got that many more years left in him. If he wants to win a championship, maybe he will have to move away from Red Bull.
Well, are Honda doing enough to show Red Bull that their engine can do it?
Not in the last couple of races, they haven't, because Gasly has had and Hartley have both had situations where they're not been in a position to show what the engine's capable of doing because unfortunately their driving skills not been up to it.
Any thoughts, James?
Yeah, I don't know.
I can see a situation though where Red Bull probably end up having no choice other than to go to the Honda.
I could see that as well, but the thing is, I mean, if Red Bull do that, right, that actually helps out Renault and McLaren even more, because it's one less team for Renault to supply, so they could affect.
If I were Renault, I'd definitely say no, we're not putting them in.
Yeah.
No offence, but what are they doing for Renault? They're not promoting their brand. They're not showing anybody that it's their engine in the car. I can't know that. But
Yeah.
they are obviously the masses, the people that just tune in every now and then. They won't see the Renault logo, so they'll just go, oh.
I mean,
I'm pretty sure it's this weekend is the deadline for Renault set a deadline for Red Bull to confirm whether they're having Renault engines for next season or not. I'm pretty sure it's this weekend is the deadline.
It's the end of the month.
End of the month, is it?
Yeah, I think.
I'm pretty sure we'll find out soon what's going to happen there. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Red Bull end up going with.
Well, the thing, like I say, you look at Toro Rosso. They complained that Renault didn't have enough parts for them. So Renault don't supply Toro Rosso anymore, so that's one less supplier, which means any parts that they would have had effectively could be pulled into the remaining teams. You get rid of Red Bull as well, and then you're left with who's supplied by Renault, Renault and McLaren. Is there anybody else?
No, but if I were Renault, if you were to turn around to another team and go, look, we'll do you a cheap deal, I'm pretty sure a team that's struggling like Williams would jump on it.
Well,
Would probably sacrifice horsepower for a bit of a cheaper deal.
Well, interesting you say that. They might do. I mean, obviously there's nothing wrong with the Mercedes engine. It's the car that's the problem. But yeah, like you say, if it's going to save them 10, 15, 20 million, then it may be something that they do, because at the end of the day, at the moment, it doesn't matter if that car's got a Renault engine, a Honda engine, a Mercedes engine, it's shit. It's at the back, it's not finishing races, so it wouldn't make a difference at all. At the same time,
it is mental to see the Sauber Alfa Romeo.
What they've done in the last few races.
Yeah, I mean, that car, that deal were announced with the tie-up with Alfa Romeo, that deal were announced like 3 months before end of last year. Obviously, other things might have been in the pipeline, but to say that Sauber, I think that car, the fundamentals of that car, was a shoestring budget.
Yeah.
The engine that they've strapped in it is basically the same as the works Ferrari engine.
Yeah.
And just to see how much quicker the Sauber is to the Williams, you'd still expect, with the Williams being fairly decent for the past few years, to be a hell of a lot better than that Sauber.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it is. I mean,
well, they need them two teams need to have a word with each other, because I'm sick of looking and going, fucking hell, it's forced.
Yeah.
That Alpha needs a bit more red on it, and the Williams needs a bit more blue on it.
Well, it's interesting, you know. I watched today, I sent it to myself on the Sky F1 Facebook page, was a video piece with Anthony Davidson. I can't remember the fella's name, but it's basically the fella that designs the, or is in charge of the graphics that you get to see on the TV screen. For the Halo graphics, and also the timing tower, basically all the graphics you see on the screen, like he was in charge of it. And it was very interesting. I like with the Halo graphics, I like the fact that they've gone, we could do something with this, and when he explained the thinking behind it, it does make a lot of sense. So they basically looked at it in the pre-season tests and went, well, this is kind of dead space, maybe we can do something with that, and it actually does look better. I'd rather see those graphics than just look at a fucking Halo that blocks the view. But there was one fundamental thing that they kind of missed from it, which I saw a few people had commented on, which is what they should do with that Halo graphic is put the driver's name somewhere. Because you can't always tell who's in what car, because you can't always see the helmet, or even if you do, if you don't know, you don't know. And Monaco's one of those races where a lot of drivers are going to bring a special helmet, so recognising them by the helmet's not going to be that easy to do. But the chap did say that they are going to be continuing to work on the graphical design of the Halo overlay. To try and bring new and improved graphics to it, which I do think could look pretty cool, to be honest. But we'll have to wait and see.
A bit of a stupid idea, but I was thinking about whether they could make a translucent Halo, so that you could
See through. Maybe. Yeah, I mean, there's a very simple way of doing it, and that is have two different colour halos, one for each driver. It'd be a hell of a lot easier to work out. But I did find it interesting that this graphics guy said one of the reasons why the Halo graphic didn't come out until Baku was because one of the things they realised was so one of the things that they realised was that the halos are different from car to car. So the halo that's on the Merc isn't the same as the halo that's on the Ferrari or the Williams or the Red Bull. They're all different, so they did have to adjust their graphical design for each particular car, which is why it took them until Baku to release it. Now, David Harper said on the chat that didn't some of the drivers have their initials on it. Yes, there have been a couple of drivers that have had their initials on the halo, but when they have the overlay graphics, it covers up anything that's on the halo, so you can't actually see it. But it was more of a graphical input that people were wanting to show their name.
Yeah, you should still do it for both. You know, for whenever they're not showing the graphic, it should be mandatory that the driver's number and first three initials is on the very front of the halo. Because I think there's only a few. I think there's only Haas and maybe one. I think it might be Renault that actually put the name of who's driving on the actual halo.
Yeah.
When you see the cars coming towards you, if you're not familiar with the number, you can't see the crash helmet clearly enough. As a spectator, you don't know who's in what car, and it would make so much more sense if, like, for instance, the second driver had it a neon yellow, and then you know exactly which driver's which.
Or like what the second pre-season is, get the driver's helmet designer to design the halo to match the helmet. You know.
Oh, I saw something that Sean Bull did this week. He's obviously a designer who designs car liveries and stuff.
Well, he's the one that got signed up with Renault for.
Renault, yeah. Well, what he did, what I suggest people do is after we finish with our podcast, they can go and have a look at what I'm going to say, and that is he's taken World Cup, because the World Cup's coming up, World Cup football shirts, and taken the design of the shirt and put it onto the car. So like there's an England car with a lion on the side of it, a bit like the Red Bull, but with a lion on the side of it, and red, but it's got all the patterns in. So you've got Brazil car, Italy car, Italian car I should say, a German, but with the shirt design on it. But then what he's done is he's got the Formula 1 teams with their car liveries and put them into football shirts and football kits. So he's made but it's not just made one kit per team. He's made a home kit, away kit, and then a third kit for each of the teams. It's pretty cool what he's done with them. Just going to show what he is capable of designing. So maybe he'll get signed up for designing some shirts at some point.
Well, I think in terms of Renault coming back and rebranding, obviously everybody knows that iconic blue and yellow from when Alonso were there. But like we said pre-season, that Renault is probably the best looking one out of the lot in terms of livery. But I think next season's Renault, knowing that Sean Bull works there as a designer, I think that next year's Renault is going to look amazing. It might not, but I think it will.
Should do.
It'll be interesting to see if they do change anything with it. I've been told it sounds like James is a little bit quiet on the microphone. I can hear him absolutely fine, so I don't know whether it's just the computer software is not picking him up too well.
It's just not voice that does it.
It could be, since it's been Jerry Halliwell. Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to... Well, it won't be interesting to see what the delivery designs are going to be like next year. They're going to be as shit as they've always been. Because Sean Bull, more than likely, is going to come up with some amazing designs, and then Renault are going to go, no, can't do that, just going to do one colour, you're right. It's going to be...
Because he's going to do something with like a metallic yellow and gold and whatever, and they'll go, oh no, we can't do that on a Formula 1 car.
Too expensive.
Too heavy. That's what it'll be. Paint's too heavy. And this is something I noticed, right? Formula 1 teams spend ages trying to get the car, the weights of the cars to a certain point. Obviously, the lighter the car, the better, and they have a limit and what have you. And then you see Lewis Hamilton take his crash helmet off, and he's got like 3 earrings on one ear, and 3 earrings on another, and a big gold chain around his neck. I'm thinking, he's probably got about 10 kilo of gold on it. So you think they would be like, take that off so you can go a bit faster?
Yeah. Right, okay. Give me 2 seconds, folks. Just going to try something, see if I can sort something out with this sound. So we're just going to be muted for a few seconds. So I'm just going to put up a. Make sure you like and subscribe. So just bear with us 2 moments. Right, sorry about that, folks. Okay, I don't know if it's solved anything. Not a lot we can do, really. It is as it is, other than James perhaps trying to scream a bit more. So, anything else to do with the Monaco Grand Prix, other than Grosjean's going to smash the shit out of everything that you can think of? I mean, could we see something as crazy as an Alfa Romeo Sauber getting on the podium, getting a victory?
I think you'd need rain for that. But I won't put it past that kid. He has impressed me that. Not Ericsson, the other one. Charles Leclerc. I think he's definitely one for the future to watch out for.
Do you know what I think might be a surprise podium? And if he does get on the podium, it'll piss me off because I don't like him. Perez. Yeah.
Right.
It's just the sort of driver that is just a steady driver, gets the job done. And if other people in front of him move out of his way by hitting the wall, it could have a good race. Well, a good result.
I hope Perez and Grosjean end up like just bumping into each other and taking each other out.
They probably will.
We're actually looking back at like loads of old races.
Just gonna say, Dave. Just had a message saying that we can all be heard now.
Yeah, it's because I changed the setting secretly in the background.
Thought you were being quiet.
Yeah. I quickly changed a setting. I don't know what happened there, what went wrong there. It must have been something.
Sorry, I cut you off, James.
No. All I'm going to say is...
Oh, by the way... Oh, sorry, I cut you off, James.
Yeah. There were...
Oh, I'll tell you what.
I think it were... watching some old footage, and I think it was 2013 or something like that.
Was it Rebushy?
Grosjean were in that black and gold Lotus. I think it might have been like second year he were there. The year when Kimi basically just went off, fuck this, and left. And I'm pretty sure at the exit of the tunnel, under braking, where you were saying that there's a bump normally there, I'm pretty sure it were Ricciardo in the Toro Rosso, and Grosjean just like rear-ended him and ripping his rear wing off. And I was just like, you know what? The more and more you look back at the history of Formula 1 within the period Grosjean's been in it, there's not 3 races go by before he's hitting somebody.
He's definitely had an up and down career, that's for certain. I'm pretty sure in the season he had away from Formula 1, he went back to GP2, didn't he? I'm pretty sure.
I remember watching that GP2 race because I were at Silverstone in 2011, and he wiped the floor with everybody. Yeah. And I went, bloody hell, he's improved since he was last in Formula 1. And then he's just got, every single year he's been in Formula 1, he's just got like shitter. Last year wasn't a bad year, but he just seems to, as soon as a little bit of pressure turns up, he can't handle it.
Yeah. It's not looking good for him, that's for sure. Well, let's put it this way, if you're in Mercedes, Ferrari or Red Bull, you wouldn't be thinking, oh, let's sign him up. I think
Well,
even
what
if
penalty?
you're a
What
Williams,
penalty did he get for causing the incident at the start of the race?
3-place grid penalty. That's
That's a joke. You know, they took out 2 other drivers in that, and it could have been more. Could have been more, and it could have been really, really severe. But I can't understand how I got a 3-place grid penalty for that when other drivers have got penalties when it's that same penalty when it's themselves they've taken out of the race.
You get a bigger penalty for needing a new gearbox.
Yeah,
which is a joke, really, to be honest. I mean, I'm not a big fan of grid penalties anyway. I think penalties should affect the race you're in, but if you're no longer in the race, then yeah, a grid penalty should apply. I'm not a fan of grid penalties for mechanical parts or anything like that. But I mean, okay, looking at that, right, I think instead of doing grid drops for like needing a new engine or gearbox, what they should do is go, right, okay, if you need a new engine or gearbox and it's out of your allocation, you have a weight penalty to negate the fact that you've got a brand new engine.
yeah.
So it's like, yeah, okay, you can have more, you've got more power, you've got a fresher engine, but you've got a weight penalty. It's a bit like in touring cars where the winner of the first race takes a weight ballast into the next race and negates whatever advantage it was that they had that allowed them to win the first race. It could be a way of doing it. I mean, maybe they could do it where over the course of a season, you have to, for every new component you add, you have to add weight. So a team could bring a brand new engine, gearbox, the works to every race, but they'd have to add weight to it. Okay, you'd end up with cars looking like the one Hando designed, but it could be a way of doing it.
But at what point does the weight come off? Does the weight come off for the next race, or does it stay on because their engine is still newer?
Stays on.
Yeah.
So
but
by the end of the season, you end up with a car that's heavier than it was at the start of the season. It would also mean that you wouldn't have to worry about. I mean, there's been a lot of talk over the last 2 years about the situation for the drivers having to lose so much weight, or if you are above a certain height, you are no longer viable to be an F1 driver. If they take that out of the equation with weight penalties, then that allows you to have a taller driver, a driver who's not being ran into the ground with fitness to lose weight.
Yeah, but also they'd have to make it where the weight was put near the driver's seat, so the team couldn't go, well, we want to add this weight towards the rear axle because it'll aid us better in acceleration or something like that.
The FIA have already said that any ballast to be applied to the car, this is from 2019 onwards, and I could be wrong on that, but I do know it's something they are looking to impose, is that when ballast is applied to the car, it is like basically in the vicinity of the driver's seat. If you've got a lighter driver, the weight you add has to be where the driver effectively would be. So ballast in that respect has to be in that vicinity so that teams can't use it as a mechanical aid, which I think is right. Anyway.
Yep.
Fucking hell. Can you believe it? Completely off topic. Just gone in to go do some bloody editing. I've updated my system this morning because it said it needed doing. Updated the entire system, which took about 4 hours. Right? So I did that while I was asleep. Woke up and it said it's completed. Brilliant, yeah, fantastic. Just started doing my editing. Go on my editing software.
Needs updated.
Needs updating.
Yep.
How long is this going to take? 19 hours.
Right, well, I'll tell you what, James, instead of doing that, would you like to play a game?
Is it a picture game?
I don't know, Steve.
Yeah, it is a picture game.
Yes, come on.
Well, you did want me to make it a bit harder than the last picture game, so I'm hoping I've made it hard enough for you, but not impossible.
Is it boobs this week?
Well, what I would say is, if you think you know the answer straight away, give people that are watching a little bit of chance to guess as well. Have a go themselves. So obviously you can say, oh, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, but then I'll give you a bit of time for each picture before I want your final answer.
So what's your theme of this picture game then, Steve?
I'm going to call this game. What should we call it? I think we'd probably call it.
Big wind up.
Maybe we call it pixelated corners because it almost looks pixelated with how zoomed in it is. Yeah, spot the corner, basically.
Yes. Spot the corner.
So what is it? Is it going to be a picture of a corner of a shape, a corner of what?
A corner of a racetrack, and you need to let me know either the name or the turn number, and obviously where the track is or what the track is.
Okay, so the first one then, pop it up on the screen, and I'll get ready to send it to James. So if you think you know what these are at home, feel free to have a guess on the YouTube chat. So the first one being shown. So
then, James, say what you see. Say what you see.
Say what you see. Yeah, I think I know it.
Okay, so what track do you think it is then?
I'd say it's a track that in its first year of going there hosted the European Grand Prix.
Okay, and what corner do you think it is?
Hang on, let me use my brain. 1, 2, 3. Hang on, I'm driving in my head. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'd say turn 5 and 6.
So you're saying turn 5 and 6?
Yeah, a little bit to the left for turn 5. And then where you can see that red bus is the apex for turn 6. It's like you come.
So you're saying you come into shot from the left-hand side.
Yeah.
And
you
then you
aim where that red bus is. That's the apex, and then you turn like more than 90 degrees right down the E119. Down this road.
I'll tell you what, you're wrong. You're right and you're wrong. You got the right circuit, you got the wrong corner. So I'll give you 1 point, but I'm not giving you 2 points.
What do you mean it's the wrong corner?
It's the wrong corner. Dave, would you like to upload the next picture so that James can compare and see if he can tell which one it really is?
No way in that one, is it? What?
It is.
It is.
It is effectively the final corner.
Yep, it's the last corner at Baku.
What
I think it's turn 16.
Roundabout the apex?
Nope.
The roundabout isn't part of it.
If we go back to the previous picture, the road that goes from the bottom towards the roundabout, well, basically where the roundabout is where the second picture is sort of taken from. So the road that goes from the bottom of the picture towards the roundabout is the straight, and then it turns left around the corner.
Yeah. So you come into shot from the bottom, and you go up and left.
So this area where it says EZNEFT Maydani,
yeah,
that's all been concreted for Street Fighters. Is that what you're saying?
I think Street Fighters is probably just after that, where there's the triangle bit. So the corner goes left. They don't quite go as far as towards the roundabout, but it goes left there anyway.
I'm going to Google Earth this just to make sure you're not.
Feel free. Absolutely feel free.
Okay, on to the next one then.
So I'm going to put 1 point to James and 1 point to me. Okay, James, have you got the next picture? It's Google it. The other one.
Yeah, sorry, hang on.
If you find if on Google Earth, you find the Azerbaijan pit garages, and just go left up the road, and you'll find the penultimate corner.
Is this a Formula 1 racetrack?
The one that we're looking at now, the new picture, yes.
Yes.
So where do you think this may be?
What you thinking?
I'm trying to think of somewhere with a lot of runoff. I'm thinking that's the exit of the corner is no. Can it? I don't know.
You were looking forward to the picture game 5 minutes ago, not now.
No, I'm regretting it. I'd say that the exit of the corner is down. So you sort of like coming from the top. I'd say the exit of Maggots and Beckett's. Silverstone.
So what's the name of the corner?
Fuck's sake.
Without googling it.
Just the corner heading on to Hanger Straight. You know
you
what I mean.
You got the corner right, but I want to know the corner name.
Druids?
No, that's what's it? The other circuit, Brands Hatch.
Oh. So Maggots, Beckett's, and then what else is there? Is it Beckett?
Chapel.
Oh yeah.
But I will give you 2 points because you did kind of know where it was.
Yeah. You did better than I did on that one. I said Spa.
I was thinking Bathurst.
Okay.
So there's a picture of it, James, for you from a different angle and a bit clearer to see. But you can clearly see the gravel on the left-hand side. And do you know why that corner's called Chapel?
Because there used to be a chapel where all men and women in World War II, they used to get married. Chaps got on plane and then flew off to Germany to drop bombs, and they never came back.
The chapel apparently is still there. It's just about a quarter of a mile away from the circuit.
Bit misleading, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, on to the next one. Let's see how you get on with this one. Yeah, that's exactly what I thought.
Well, what did James say? I misheard that.
He went, "Oh Jesus."
It's definitely an F1 track.
Yep.
Yep. Are you stumped?
A little bit.
I want to help, but I don't know if I should.
So, any guesses of what circuit?
I'm just a bit stumped by the corner. Like I'm looking at that island, thinking they can't go around that because that'd be tighter than Lowe's Hairpin. Oh, could it be? No, it can't be because the cars are then going. Could it be Lowe's Hairpin? No, because then you've got that thing hanging over road there. Oh, I might be wrong. Is it Monaco?
Yeah.
But is it? Oh, I'm trying to look at it from all different angles so you can see out.
He's on Google Earth now looking at Monaco.
I'm thinking it's Monaco as you come up the hill and you turn left.
Oh, so you're thinking Casino Square, turn left and then turn right?
Before you get to Casino Square, you turn left. You go up the hill. It's a little bit wiggly as you go up the hill, and then immediately left. I think it's there.
Nope.
Oh.
Interesting fact about this corner. We'll put the picture up for you to see where it is, and then I'll mention the fact about it. The little roundabout bit in the middle.
Oh, don't tell me it's turn 1.
Yes, it's turn 1. They dig. They do. Every year they dig that roundabout up and make it flat and replant it after every race.
No way.
Yeah, that's where the curb is, the apex curb.
Because
They
back
dig
in
up-
the day, didn't they just used to put a barrier around that and say good luck to drivers?
Pretty much. Yeah, they dig the roundabout up, take all the curbs up and everything, all the soil, all the plants out, and then they replant it after each Grand Prix.
Bloody hell.
Wouldn't it be more enticing to go for an overtake if the apex was where the safety car yellow line is?
Where the pit exit line is, pit line.
Would it be more enticing to go for an overtake?
Yeah, with a much
And
wider entry.
hang on, let me just do a little bit of Photoshop here. This is a free tip for Ross Brawn, right? James's tips.
Purple, red and blue.
So you carry on with next pictures, and I'll try and fix.
So on to the next one then.
So did I just get 1 point for it for saying Monaco?
Oh,
Yeah.
I suppose you can have 1 point.
Oh,
I'd have given him the 2. He ain't getting this one.
You never know, you might know.
Ooh, pardon me.
So what's your thoughts on this one?
The current F1 circuit.
I don't know whether I should give any tips on this or not.
Yep. You might not,
Right.
I will.
It is a current F1 circuit. They're not racing on it this weekend. There you go, there's a clue.
Well, I could tell that by width at bloody roads. Oh, they've got a nice salon. That's the main thing. Got a swimming pool, so it can't be somewhere cold. Singapore.
Okay, now what's your thoughts? Why would you think it's Singapore? And if it was, what corner would you think it would be?
I'd say it's where, because there's a crossroads, and at Singapore, the end sector one at a crossroad and turn full 90-degree right-hander, and then later on in the lap, you end up coming past the other side.
So you're thinking, is it turn?
If you're starting off on your
14, I
lap,
think.
hang on.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. I don't know whether you class that as
Kink is 4, then there's 5 is the right.
So you go down that flat DRS straight, you turn left, and then it's that right-hander after that.
Go back
No.
100 metres!
Yeah, go back a bit.
Oh, so you're saying... Oh, right. So just you mean in the end of the DRS straight?
Yep, it's turn 7.
Oh, right.
So you come from the bottom of the picture and swing round to the left.
Yeah, not bad.
So it's got nothing to do with the roads up at the top. But I left the roads in at the top because I thought it might put you off.
Which it
Also, with
did,
the fact that it says Challenger flagship store, I was thinking you might think it's somewhere in America.
Yeah. So you nearly
But
had me then. I was
you got the
thinking
right-
Detroit.
You got the right circuit, so I'll give you a point. But you're not getting the full 2 points.
Okay, on to...
He's harsh, isn't he, Bella?
He is. On to the next one.
I like this one.
Bella, I can't concentrate with your face in. Sorry, it's just hard looking at these pictures when I've got a dog trying to like. Just like, oh, that's easy. That's Sochi.
Okay, so you've got the circuit, but what's the corner?
Yeah. 1, 2. Are we classing that big loop as turn 3?
Yeah, that is turn 3.
Go around turn 3, turn 4, turn 5, turn 6, is it?
Nope. 6 is a bit of a kink. This is 7.
Oh,
you tight bastard.
So on the second picture, then, is it the corner at the bottom of the screen?
Yeah, it's no, it's not the one at the bottom of the screen.
Oh, it's
if you
left-hand
if
side.
you look at sort of like 9 o'clock, there's a bit of a kink, and then there's a tighter corner.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't
the bit
think about the kink because really I don't class it as a corner.
Yeah, that's turn 6, and turn 7 is the one after, which was in the picture before.
But I knew what it was. So that's 2 points, isn't it?
What do you reckon, Dave?
I'd give him the 2 points on that one.
Okay, he's got 2 points.
Only because he's not getting the next one.
Actually, I think round Sochi they should do the outer loop, the entire thing, the class.
Yeah, on that picture, just the big loop. Isn't that train tracks though? No, that's a road, isn't it? It's a big road.
Yeah, it's a road. Just loop it. Just like, yeah, you could like just extend the lap where you end up like turning back on yourself and going round the loop and then rejoining.
Come on then, James. Next picture.
Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, I think this is the easiest one.
I think it's it's after the first DRS straight, leading on to the second DRS straight.
So it's the first chicane between the DRS straights.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 points.
I
thought that one was a bit easy. Yeah.
Too easy.
Well, you've got to give him an easy one before you give him a hard one.
Yeah. I'll just see the next one. Yeah. Good luck. When I saw this, I just went, where the fuck is that?
Oh, they don't race there anymore. It is Valencia.
Whereabouts on Valencia? What corner?
Massive braking zone, which I'd call turn 1, but you'd probably call it turn 2.
So that's where you think this is... Oh,
no.
Still counting.
So yeah, you sort of... So massive braking zone, you turn right, you turn left, you come down to here.
So it's turn what?
Turn 4 or 5.
It's turn 4 and 5 is just afterwards, yeah.
Hey, that's...
I thought that would be a more difficult one to get.
It took me a lot longer to get
just
it.
The water straight away, I'm like, oh, that looks like Valencia.
Well, even the picture showing you the part of the circuit is even probably a little bit more difficult to distinguish.
Do you know what it was?
Yeah.
It wasn't until I looked at the second picture and I was like, where the fuck is that? It wasn't until I saw the buildings on the left with the roof and I went,
that looked like the fish market.
yeah. I went, that's Valencia. That was the only reason that I got it. Okay, on to the next one. Should time him, see how long. What you should do is time him, actually, see how long it
You said to give the viewers a chance, didn't you?
Yeah.
Is it a current F1 circuit?
Yes.
And it's not an extended version that they don't go on anymore.
No, so it's not Nürburgring or Nordschleife or anything like that. Or Hockenheim long one or anything.
I thought this was easier than the previous one.
Yeah, I thought this one was. I actually considered not putting this one in because I thought it would be too easy. So what circuit, James?
I don't know. I'm stumped with this. I'm saying I think I know which one it is. Is it Spa?
Maybe.
But I'm a bit baffled as to, because I think what's stumping me is the outside of the circuit. I take it that's a pro barrier or tyres. That's not actually the circuit. Because the image is so blurry.
It's not easy.
Well, the picture was taken from space, so what do you expect?
Would you like me to give you a clue? But if you get it after the clue, the point don't count. You and Steve, go on.
Is it? I'm thinking it's the one before the big long back straight, which isn't really straight.
It's Stavlo.
Yeah.
If it was that, the building's missing.
What is it that you and Steve always do on our podcast?
Like a horse noise?
Go for a poo.
Poo on.
Poo on.
Yeah. So you only get the point there because you thought it was Spa.
I can't see it.
You can't see poo on. It's because when you race it, when you're at eye level to it, you don't realise how much of a corner it is you're going round.
Yeah, see, that's it. Yeah. Oh, now I can see it. Now, well, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, I was thinking maybe the corner just before this. You know, the corner with no name. But then I'm like, no, it's not long enough.
It almost as well. It could have possibly got me to think maybe Austria last two corners, but there's no pit entry there. That you could see. But
these images need to be a bit clearer.
Blame Google.
I will.
If you want them clearer, the next one's not going to help. I can honestly say you're not going to get this one. I don't think there's any way you're getting this.
Current F1 track.
Oh, Dave the Arp says Japan after the bridge. Unless he was on about the previous picture. Or said, no, Dave the Arp's thinking hairpin Japan.
No. That road off to the right won't exist. And it's a current F1 circuit, is it?
No comment.
Right.
It's been raced on in the last 10 years.
Just because I completely don't know it, I'll go Magny-Cours.
Well, it's been a long time since we raced there, isn't it? But no, it's not Magny-Cours.
It's not Magny-Cours.
Do you want to know where it is? I think we'll have to show him the picture, Dave.
Well, tell him where it is. And
it is Korea.
Oh yeah.
You go down the long straight.
Yeah.
Turn right and go down the next straight, and then you got a hairpin.
Yeah, and then people used to cut off that like escape road during qualifying because it cut like 20 seconds out of the lap.
Yeah.
So looking at the picture I've just sent to James, it's sort of the corners in the top right corner. It's weird, you know, because when I looked at that one, I was like, where the hell is that? I couldn't... And it's weird, because of the career track, that's a corner that I probably hated the most, but I probably also didn't remember until I actually looked at the track map. Okay.
Looking at the picture as well, I thought maybe it'll confuse people into thinking like it's an old picture of Montreal or somewhere like that.
It's one of them circuits where you look at it and you go, what numpty design that?
Yeah. Okay.
Of all corners to pick, they're all corners which are awful for overtaking.
Oh yeah. Which, by the look of this next picture, also looks like it's awful for overtaking, because it looks like the corner's got a bit of a depth perception issue, perhaps. And we talk about narrow, wide, narrow.
The current F1 circuit?
It's been raced on in the last 10 years.
Interesting, Ray. Interesting.
What's Ray's comment? Let's have a read.
Now James is thinking, I better go read that. Interesting, Dave. Interesting, Dave. Just to confuse James.
Ooh.
Come on then, James. Let's hear you. He's googling images of circuits.
I'm not. I swear I'm not. Trying to think. Can you give me a clue as to which direction they're going? Do they come in from the right, or do they come in from the bottom upwards?
They're coming from the right.
Yeah. Is it Canada?
No.
I was thinking Canada, where Vettel spun it and Button did him. But
oh yeah, that'd have been a good guess. Similar shape of corner, yeah.
Bit wide though at the apex there, but that was the only kind of thing that I was thinking. No, I don't have a clue. I'll be kicking himself.
Yeah, Christmas dinner.
Turkey. Oh no.
Any idea where at Turkey?
Yeah, now you say it, can't be turn one because I can't see pit lane exit. It kind of reminds me of turn one.
I'm showing it on the podcast at the moment.
Don't forget they're coming from the right hand side, not the bottom.
Yeah. I'm thinking if the pit straight was from the right hand side, and that would turn one, but it can't be. No, I can't think of it. I'll kick myself when I see it.
Don't tell him. Let's see if you can see it.
Oh fucking hell!
So where on there is it, James?
Yeah, it's that apex where you need to brake deep and open up the exit for the blast down what became a DRS straight, which probably in all DRS straights did not need to be a DRS straight.
Yeah,
I think that never needed to be DRS because it were always one of them where you got an overtake no matter what anyway if you're close enough.
Turns 9 and 10.
Which are on the bottom right hand side of that picture. Okay.
Yeah.
On
to... I raced round where were it last night? I think it were in my racing league. I raced round the Circuit of the Americas last night, and that triple apex right under is in nowhere near comparison to that triple apex corner at Turkey.
Yeah. If you thought the others were difficult to see, this one's really hard.
Yeah, it's just I think this is back to
the future.
Just back to this Is this? Yeah, I think this is back to Azerbaijan, isn't it?
Maybe.
Yeah, I think it's the corner before what I thought, so that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, turn 5 and 6.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
Correct. 2 points.
Oh yeah.
I was about to say you were wrong. I thought it was Monaco.
Yeah, the trees just give it away.
Okay, I think this is the last one. So, feast your eyes on this.
Is it a current F1 circuit?
We could be here all night with this one.
Right, so I take it they're coming in from the left due to the gravel track being there.
Well, that would make sense, wouldn't it?
It's a tight corner. Is it a current F1 circuit?
Should we help him with that or not?
It is, yeah. I'd say we should help him, so yeah. James's mind now working his way around as many different racetracks that he can think of.
I'm holding my iPad in the direction that I'd drive down towards that braking zone, trying to trigger something in my head.
Let's see what the guys are saying on YouTube. Ray thinks it's Australia. Dave thinks it's Canada.
Where in Canada would that be? That couldn't be Canada.
That couldn't be anywhere. That's what happens with a cunt.
I'm thinking Ray might be on right lines. I'm thinking. I'll probably have to work my way back. What's the final corner number at Australia?
It's about
Is it
16, 17.
Turn 13 is the penultimate, isn't it?
It's a turn 14 your last. So
I think.
13, 12. I'll say this is turn 11.
No, it's not anyway.
I think it's a bit too green.
I can see what you're thinking. Now you're thinking where Brundle was stood in the practice session.
Yeah,
It's not. It's not there. I'll give you a clue. The approach to the corner is uphill.
Uphill. Oh, Austria, turn 2.
No.
It's not. No.
Would you like to have another guess?
Oh yeah, Austria's a bit tighter than that, isn't it? Uphill.
Doing right well, are you?
I'm not doing that well.
It's got him.
I've got no clue. I'm stumped.
Gonna have to put him out of his misery.
If you show show the next picture and see if that helps him understand where it is. I'm not going to give him the full answer.
They don't race there anymore. He said, "Is this a current F1 circuit?"
They raced there this year.
Have they?
No.
Hey, oh, you liars. You liars. You said yes. I wonder I didn't get it. This is, I'm telling you, Vicky, this is fixed. Give me shoddy.
Come on then. Which turd is it? Which turd is it? I don't know.
Hang on. Turn 1, no. Turn 2, no. Turn 3, no. Turn 4.
It doesn't matter because you had your guess earlier on, so you're not getting any points for it.
It's turn 4.
It is turn 4.
It is turn 4, Malaysia. Yeah. But it's one of those corners that could have been anywhere.
I think you should get a point for that because you misled me, saying it were a current circuit when it wasn't.
To be fair, Dave said Austria turn 1. That's a good guess, but it wasn't. Very well done there, James. Steve, how many points did he score?
Including that I was misled.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 out of a possible 20.
Out of a possible 20. Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad.
That is not bad at all. You know how a week or two ago on the podcast I told you about the Japanese zebra crossing?
Yeah.
The 3D zebra crossing. I've got a picture of it for you. I'm going to show on the podcast as well. So I didn't really get a decent picture of it last time, so I managed to find a picture. So when you're approaching the zebra crossing, this is basically what you see. It looks like a row of blocks hovering on the road, which would kind of do your head in a little bit, but as you may know from listening to the podcasts, I do like a little bit of the old optical illusion. But I'm just wondering what you guys would think about if you were driving down the road and you saw this. Would it make you stop?
Probably not, because I've seen it on the internet before. But then if they were real, I'd probably end up crashing into them.
True. James has gone quiet.
Hang on. I haven't seen it yet. Yeah, I'd probably be more. I don't know. It just kind of looks like keyboard fingers. I mean, that'd be good for a remake of a Beatles album, wouldn't it?
It would actually. Yeah, that's a good idea. That. Well, like I say, I mean, I do like the old optical illusion. So what I'm actually going to do is I've got a couple of pictures for you guys to have a look at, and all I want you to do is tell me what you see. And if
what you see.
Say what you see. And for those of you at home, you can do similar. I'm going to show a picture here, so I'd like to know what it is you see here.
Nothing at the minute.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be sending through to you. I think the internet just dropped out.
Yeah, I see two old people. One's got a guitar. One's holding something on her head. She's got white hair, and he's bald.
See, two Mexicans, two old people, but also a gold goblet of some sort.
I didn't see the gold goblet.
Yeah.
Well, at first I didn't see anything other than two old people, but I think I was seeing a smaller picture. It did take me a while to see the two Mexicans, one with the guitar and the woman with the tequila bottle. James was obviously on the ball with that, aware to keep an eye out for random other stuff. So I have got another picture to show you. You'll probably get this one dead easy. So which is the longer line? It's as simple as that. The two yellow lines, which is the longer one?
I reckon they're both the same size.
Yeah, hang on. Let me check.
He's getting his ruler out.
My brain's telling me top one, but actually... My brain's telling me top one, but actually they're both the same size.
If you tilt your screen so you're looking at it kind of flat,
Yeah, I think
can
your
see they're
brain
about the
tells
same
you
size.
the top one
Mm.
because it's wider than the train track, whereas they are both the same size.
Correct, they are both the same size. Okay, on to the next one. So just say what you see.
Like a perspective. But, oh yeah, these are cool tattoos.
Mm.
Yeah,
See
it
a
looks
pair of
like
legs.
you're going in.
I mean, there's nothing particularly special about these, but they are cool tattoos in that it does look like they do look realistic, as in there's a hole there. It is pretty cool. So there's nothing really overly special to see on that one, other than a cool tattoo. Okay, on to the next one. So say what you see.
An elephant with an extra leg.
6 legs.
Well, how many legs has he got?
1, 2,
His
3,
legs are
4,
wrong.
5.
No, his legs are completely wrong. He's got one back leg. All the rest.
No, if you
Oh,
count his
legs are wrong.
feet, if you count his
but if you-
feet,
No. Just look at the very back leg. The very back leg to the far right, which is nearest us. That's the only leg that's correct. All the other legs don't have feet. You've only got one leg. All the rest are incorrect.
You are right. It is a bit of a head fuck, that one. I looked at that and was like, what's special about that? And then it fucked with my head. And if you still haven't got it at home, just have a look at the legs, you'll soon work it out. Okay, on to the next one. Nice little optical illusion for you here.
This is like a dyslexia test you're doing.
It is, isn't it?
oh, I can't look at that. It's doing my nutting. It's moving.
That's like that helmet design I did today.
It is, isn't
So
it?
he could concentrate on his races.
I can't look at this image for too long either, so I am going to take it off the screen. It's a nasty one, that I apologise. Okay, say what you see on this next one. This is the last one for you, so say what you see.
Well, it looks like.
Vicky, what would you say that is? It looks like a woman's crotch, but it can't be. So what do you think it is? Can't say. Is it a curtain? A pair of curtains?
Flaps.
No.
I reckon it's the back of somebody. It's the shoulders. So what's out of view is their neck and their head, and that's around the back of the neck, and that goes down between their shoulder blades.
But you both instantly thought woman's crotch area.
Yeah, but because you know it's going to be an illusion, you automatically think, well, what is? I'm thinking it's some curtains or something.
Well, I shall reveal what it is.
Or is it a bed headboard with some them big curtains on?
You know what? That's not a bad guess, you know.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you turned it upside down, did you?
Yeah, I turned it upside down and I'm like, that looks like an headboard.
See, now James, if Vicky did think a woman's crotch area, you could tell her she's got a dirty mind.
Well, I've got a message.
She's at the other side of the room, so I'll let her off with that.
I've got a message from Ray, and it's a question for Vicky.
Oh God.
Oh god.
So tell Vicky she's got a question.
I don't.
You know,
If
looking
the
at it, like, I'm working.
The question is to Vicky: is he as rubbish in bed as he is at these?
You can...
Yeah, just now.
Yeah.
Are you going to give him an answer or what?
I think that was your answer.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's your answer.
Oh dear. I'm great in bed. I sleep there all night. Well, that's the last of my.
Nicky's just cringed at that.
Yeah. I don't even know why I said it. Okay, well, that's the last of my pictures anyway. And I need to go get myself a drink, so I'm going to be a moment.
Yeah, me
Talk
too.
about
So
yourselves.
good luck, Steve.
Yeah, good luck.
Great. Well, I was going to ask James what he wanted to do for the next pictures game. So I'll ask the viewers if they've got any ideas of what I can crop on a picture for James to have a guess at. Possibly something Formula One related. What could we do? We've done circuits, we've done some cars, we've done noses. What about backsides? Formula One drivers'
cars?
backsides.
Backsides of cars or what?
Formula One drivers' backsides.
Oh no! I thought you were going to say like Christian Horner or something.
Well, it could be anybody.
Is Helmut Marko's rear end?
Anybody to do with Formula One, so it could be team owners or certain engineers that are quite well known. So I could do backsides, see if you can get them. But I could do some backsides of cars if you want.
Yeah.
As well,
Yeah, no,
mix it up a bit.
I think I'd probably spot the rear end of a car quite easily, so we'll go with that. But you can only zoom in
until it doesn't pixelate.
Yeah.
Well, Dave the Arp suggested I should do something to do with Star Wars. The problem is, Dave, last time I did that, he got every single one. Even though I cropped it down to like 1 pixel, he'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's Jabba the Hutt's little toy friend." But maybe I'll have to throw a rear end of a Star Wars person in there and see if you can tell that it's not a Formula One.
Yeah, well, maybe you could just do some more and try and catch me out with Star Wars.
Possibly.
It might not be a bad one. I'm sure we'll be able to come up with something on that. I'm just wondering if you want to give... oh God, Ray, you pervert. Ray's put, who's boner? We'll probably get removed from YouTube for that.
Watch, it'll be Lewis Hamilton's dog, Roscoe, with a bow.
Yeah. Could be famous dogs. I'm sure you could put... No, I'm not going to say
Jerry Halliwell.
I very nearly went there with a similar comment, but that was better. So fair play to you. Alright, anything else you guys want to talk about? What we got?
I don't know. It's one of them because you're not the Monaco Grand Prix is always one of them races where I don't big it up because sometimes it can be boring, sometimes it can be amazing. Whereas Spain, we were already on a bit of a downer because we know you can't overtake around there. But what's the next race after Monaco?
That's a good question. Canada?
No, I don't think it's. I'll double check.
Well, I'm just.
It's not something I normally do look at, but I for some reason I've not looked into it.
I'm just trying to have a look now. So it is. It's Canada after Monaco.
So it is. Yeah. Practice session is on the 8th of June.
It's weird that they have Canada when technically we've just started the European season.
Yeah, I think that's why my brain kind of always says, no, it's not Canada yet. So.
But I would like to go to Montreal. It always looks right good on all pictures. It shows like helicopter over the city.
One of the predictions we can do for Canada is how many, because Crofty keeps count, how many cars cut the final chicane. We could have a guess on that one. I mean, I kind of agree with you about I mean, Monaco's more about the glitz, the glamour, the occasion, and there happens to be a race on as well. It'd be interesting to. Well, there's two things to it. It could be a really interesting race, or it'll be the race where something really bad will happen. Because if you remember, a couple of podcasts ago, I said that I think this season is building up to something bad happening, in the fact of every race has had a safety car. And if something bad's going to happen, Monaco's one of those places where it could happen. So I think it's going to be amazing, or shit's good at the fan.
Well, Grosjean tried his best to make it happen at the last race.
True, that is true. Now, obviously, James has not been able to talk much about his beloved Star Wars recently. I was just wondering if you want to give James the opportunity to have a bit of a Star Wars corner for a moment.
Star Wars corner. Oh, well, I'll go upstairs because I don't want Vicky to get. Usually she always goes, how come every sentence has to have Star Wars in it? Why does everything have to relate back to Star Wars?
Have you got Star Wars underwear?
I actually have a pair.
Have you bought Vicky the Princess Leia stuff yet?
No.
I could just imagine James in a pair of underpants, like Luke Skywalker underpants, but they got a hole in the front where his hands grab his lightsaber.
Or maybe that ice monster, like, going to grab something in my pants. Yeah. It was weird because I was actually thinking, if somebody turned around to me and went, oh, James, you get to direct the next Star Wars movie, and it can be about absolutely anything, I was kind of thinking to myself, what time period would I set it in between, like, the originals, the prequels, or the new movies? And then I was just thinking, if you were to, because you two are not too fussed about Star Wars, but if it's on, you might go see it. Now that Solo movie's coming out, and I've ranted about why I probably don't want to see a Solo movie played by another actor. That's my personal preference. But if you were to put a Star Wars movie together, let's say you two were my producers, what would you two say you'd want to see?
Naked women.
Yeah.
Rachel Riley.
Rachel Riley, yeah.
You know, I'd probably, if I was gonna be involved in a Star Wars, I wouldn't try and fill a gap or a story that's already told.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably say, let's go beyond, where there is no story written. Now,
yeah.
that's obviously what episode 7, 8 and 9 are. But I think if you jumped too far ahead, people wouldn't have that connection. So there would have to be a connection to the original Star Wars. But then, having said that, you could just do that with the Millennium Falcon. So I can kind of see why people have told the stories that they have, but I think to a degree Wolverine is to blame.
Yeah. Do you mean the origins one?
Yeah, because Wolverine, the origins and then the Wolverine stories were a success, it's made other studios go, we should do that, when actually they don't necessarily need to.
Yeah, I mean, I've always said from day one, when they were making a Han Solo movie, I says there's no need for it, and to be fair, the reviews have come through and they're pretty much saying there's no need for this movie, because normally with a main character, it has a beginning, middle and end, and the character has a bit of an arc from where he starts out to what he becomes at the end of the movie. We're saying, a bit like Luke Skywalker, starts out in the original episode 4, starts out as a farm boy, and by the end of the movie, he's saved the galaxy and destroyed the ultimate weapon of evil, which is the Death Star. Han Solo in this movie is just Han Solo, apparently. So I'm like, well, there you go, straight away. Whereas if the character had started out completely different, and through his experiences he became a bit like pissed off and jaded. And fair enough, but if you're just going to have a character that's just the same, what is the point of the movie? But like you were saying, go completely off kilter. I wouldn't mind doing a movie which is set at the same time as like another movie, but you get completely different characters' point of view on a situation that's happened. So, like, for example, I'd love to see a movie a bit like the video game Battlefront 2. It's set right at the moment at the end of Return of the Jedi, which is episode 6, where Darth Vader kills the Emperor, Luke redeems his father, and basically the Empire lose and the rebellion win. That's pretty much the end of episode 6. I'd love to see a movie
Sound
where...
like Kevin Keegan then, sorry. I'd love it, I'd love it.
I will bloody love it, I tell you, we'll go there. But yeah, I'd love to see a movie where, let's say, for example, there's a different... Let's say, for example, we don't know what the hell the Emperor were up to for like 30 years. Let's say, for example, the Emperor had got a new apprentice and he were basically... He wasn't really thinking about Luke Skywalker, but he was thinking about possibly replacing Darth Vader. And he's training him up, and then he goes, hang on, I've got to go at this new Death Star, wait here and I'll be back in a week. Shit happens, and obviously the Empire lose, but then get a character's perspective where he's, like, for example, let's say you've got the replacement for Darth Vader, and he's been trained to be as shit hot and as cool as old, and then his master's destroyed, Darth Vader's destroyed, the Empire's destroyed, and he has to, a bit like with X-Men, where the mutants are like not. I'm trying to think of the words. If you're a mutant, you're basically seen as a bit of a weirdo.
Yeah.
Have it so that like he's been bred to basically think that he's gonna be the next big thing, and then it turns out everything goes to shit, and how he sort of deals with the situation. So
sounds a bit like episode 8, that does, James.
Yeah, but without purple-haired women not giving information, and
yeah,
you know what I mean. But yeah, I've got no problem. I would like to see a Star Wars movie where you get a complete... It's connected slightly by situations that happen in other movies, but in terms of the characters, they are completely brand new. Like, you might not even see the Emperor. You might see him in like a hologram. You might even see Darth Vader.
If somebody was to make that film, I could imagine somebody like yourself going, what is the point of this film when there's nobody in it from the previous films?
Because you could make the anti-Luke Skywalker a bit like the original novels for James Bond. James Bond's a bit of a bastard, and in the movies, especially the Roger Moore era, he came across as a bit of a womanizer and everybody loves me and all this lot. Whereas I think Timothy Dalton did play the character as James Bond as a bit of a bastard, bit of a rough around the edges. Sean Connery were a bit of a womanizer, but play that kind of dark edge where you have a character that is like the anti-Luke Skywalker, but you kind of root for him, even though he's doing the complete opposite to what like the heroes of the original trilogy would do. So, I don't know. But I would like to see a completely different set. Like what I've said about this Han Solo movie. You've got an entire galaxy of endless possibility of movies and anything, and you go to a character which we've already seen in 4 other movies played by Harrison Ford.
See, now, something you could do is a new E.T. type movie that just for a split second has 2 characters go and attend the Emperor's announcement, because obviously there's E.T. aliens in that, in the original Star Wars, if I remember rightly. So you could have an E.T. film that just for a split second hints into the Star Wars. But just to get away a little bit from Star Wars, because I know Star Wars has pissed you off a lot recently.
Recently, yeah.
If that's the case, what have you been watching instead?
I've been watching. I know this sounds really, really odd, but I've been watching. No, I've been watching a lot of Robert De Niro movies, which are quite gritty, and especially his early stuff, like Taxi Driver, quite gritty and a bit seedy and very, for its time, very realistic compared to like Star Wars. So trying to like completely desensitize myself from Star Wars for a bit. But then from watching stuff like that, you might have seen it advertised on YouTube. Have either of you got Netflix?
No.
Nope.
Well, there was something advertised on YouTube. I think it was just, when it does pop-ups when you've got to wait 3 seconds and then you can skip and actually watch the video you want. It came up and it actually were probably one of the first things where within 3 seconds it had grabbed me and I watched the entire trailer and I went, I'm going to go watch that now. And it was a real life story and it hooked me. I think I watched it all day Sunday because Vicky were going out with her mum to go and have, mother-daughter day or whatever. So I thought, well, I'm going to be home alone with my dog. So I'll watch this because it pops up. And straight away, within the first 3 seconds, it grabs me in this trailer because it was like... straight away, it said a real-life murder mystery story. And straight away, it just showed a man with something around his collar going... I was
going to say something else then.
Something around his cock. No, something around his collar, basically going, this is going to go off, and if you don't help me, I'm going to die. And then there were an explosion.
Oh, was it to do with the bank robber guy?
Yeah. So even you know about it.
Yeah.
And I'm not kidding, it fucking grabbed me. Not literally, but it did. I was sat there for about 5 hours watching, because it's split into 5 parts. Because what happened was, it's in a state, I think it's Pennsylvania in America. And it starts out as a documentary, and if you've not seen it, go watch it after you've watched this, listen to this podcast, because I would highly, highly recommend it. And it starts out where it just shows this bank, and people are queuing up to see the cashier or whatever. And then in strolls through on the CCTV. They don't do any reconstruction, they just show the real life footage. And this bloke walks in with a t-shirt and the t-shirt says, guess what's under this t-shirt. And the t-shirt is quite like pulled up and it looks like he's wearing a t-shirt over like a neck brace or something, so you can't really see what's round his neck. And he walks in and he's got a cane and he's got a letter, and he actually goes in and queues up with all the people, waits to get to the front of the queue, and then hands the cashier a note that basically says, I've got a bomb strapped to my neck. If you don't give me so much money within the next 2 minutes, it's gonna go off. And straight away, I was like, how does it go? Because it literally just starts out like any other normal bank to being going from 0 to 100 like that. But as well, the guy that's wearing this thing around his neck is so calm, so chilled, and you'd think, why would you be so chilled? You know what I mean? It's just like, you straight away you're questioning everything. You're like, why is he so chilled? I think at one moment, while he's waiting for his money, there's a little jar with lollipops in. He puts his hand in the jar and pulls out a lollipop and starts sucking on it, waiting for his money. And you're like, how could you be that chilled? You got that strapped around your neck. The lady hands him like $5,000 in her bag. He trundles out of the place with this walking cane. And he doesn't get far. I think he literally gets in his car, drives for about 100 metres and then stopped by police and told to get out of the car. And he's sitting at the side of the road. And basically, because he's sitting at the side of the road, it's like blocking traffic. And the coppers are aiming the guns at him and they're getting quite close. And they're going, what's that on your T-shirt? What's around your neck? And they basically say, take your T-shirt off, and as he takes his T-shirt off, you see that there's this collar with a fucking bomb and a timer attached to his neck.
You know.
And straight away the coppers are like, get back. Shit, what the hell? So they all get back and they're still like aiming guns at him, because they don't know if he's set up the device or what the hell. And basically, the bloke says, I need help, because this is going to go off. And you can even hear in the footage a beeping noise. And once every 30 seconds, it goes beep, beep.
That wasn't 30 seconds.
Well, the longer this goes on, the beeps get more and more frequent, to a point where it's going beep, 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 and literally it's getting to a point where it's going beep, 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 and everyone's going like, just get fucking back. And they're all moving back, and it just goes, and his head just goes poof. And it shows the actual footage on the camera of the bonnet of the car, which is used for like high-speed chases.
Yeah.
And it's that powerful. You straight away you're thinking, well, his head's got to go flying. That were a fair whack of a impact. But apparently his head and that was still like slightly attached, and he was still breathing for 20 minutes after the explosion before he actually died. But the police officers daredn't get closer, thinking, well, what if there's another bomb attached to him?
Yeah.
You know, if we get close and then
it goes off again.
Yeah, and he goes off again, we don't have a clue. So they had to phone the bomb squad. They'd originally phoned the bomb squad. And unfortunately, because the state of Pennsylvania, the nearest like bomb squad was in the next state, but it's quite a small state, and I think it said that they'd have to come from New York State into Pennsylvania and basically help out. So by the time they turned off, the bomb had already gone off, and they're wearing all the equipment so that if there were an explosion, they'd be like 90% protected. They walk over and basically ascertain the situation and realise there's nothing else on him other than this walking cane. And this walking cane, inside the walking cane was a gun.
Bloody hell.
So it was like a really long, thin handgun that from the outside just looked like a walking stick, but it had a trigger. And it was loaded with like 3 bullets inside it. So they were like, straight away, they were like, why would you have a... Straight away, I think, because it was such a weird situation.
Yeah.
They were all fighting for, well, who's going to take over this case, because we have no clue. So I think the FBI turned up, the army turned up, and some other like CIA turned up. And they were all like, well, who's going to take charge of this? And the FBI just ended up saying, well, this is a really, really fucked up one. We'll take it. So basically, they're trying to understand as to why somebody would strap a bomb to their neck and walk around with a loaded gun in a cane and go into a bank and ask for just for $5,000 and then blow their own head off. You know, and they went through it all, and basically, in the state, in this one state, within the space of 3 weeks, they found something like 6 different dead people. People dead in fridges, in houses, fridge freezers. People who worked with this bloke in a pizza shop that were like thinking that they were going to have some sort of link and go to prison, and they ended up committing suicide. And all basically reverted back to this really, really odd couple.
Yeah. Night.
So yeah, what? Put the iPad.
For anyone that doesn't know, James has just had to do the silent switcheroo.
Yeah. So yeah, basically it reverted back to this really oh fucking hell, that's a massive mod. Jesus. It reverted back to this really weird couple that had basically at one point in their life been boyfriend and girlfriend. She had like a split personality disorder, and he was just weird to a point where he could talk about murdering somebody like as if it were talking about buttering some bread, and not feel any emotion, just be like, yeah, this is where I killed him right here, and this is the cupboard where I shoved his head in, and over here I cut him up and his ribs were in here. You'd be like, what? You'd be like,
Yeah.
what? You just like the way that people talked about death were just like cutting up meat.
Yeah.
Just like, it's just bonkers. And I think it's one of them where, you know, like the dark side of life when you hear like stuff like
Gruesome
whether
shit.
it's real or not, like horror movies and all this stuff. It's just weird that there are people out there that are
Like
that's just normal. That's no big deal.
a bit
And
like
it's
that film Waxworks, where Paris
Yeah.
Hilton gets killed. I mean, that's the kind of film that it's just fucked up and it's unrealistic. But actually, there probably is somebody out there that would quite happily, like, wrap people in wax alive until they're dead, and then.
And it'd be no different than going out and buying a sandwich from a shop for them. It'd just be the norm.
Well, that's.
I think what fascinated me the most was just the fact that it's a real story. So you're like, well, straight away the stakes are high because these people are actually real. You know, they're not characters. But as well, just getting behind these people, like the lady who was basically orchestrating this whole situation, basically worked it out that all these people, fucking hell, Bella, all these people that were dead within 3 weeks were all people during her life that had fucked her off.
Yeah.
And she just decided within these 3 weeks, her and her ex-boyfriend were going to murder them all.
Yeah. Well, I saw the trailer for it. It was only a short trailer, and it did look a bit weird. And I didn't know if it was a true story or not, but it definitely sounds like something I'll have to catch up with. But so that's the show that you've definitely got interested in recently. What about yourself, Steve? Anything new for you?
Is he here?
Sorry, I was on mute.
He's having a shit then.
No, I started talking, then realised I was on mute. I'm just trying to think. There's been a couple of things we've watched recently. We're watching at the moment something called Blacklist, which is pretty cool. It's about a woman that works for the FBI in a secret kind of like, how would you explain it? secret department of the FBI that even parts of the FBI don't even know that it exists, and they're basically searching for what they call the major criminals that are on a certain blacklist. And it's quite interesting, but there's quite a deep backstory to it, which I don't want to go into because it's worth watching if you want to start watching it. And the woman in it's not too bad either. What else have we watched? We watched.
It's a cracking story.
Yeah, it's all right. Westworld. So season 2 of Westworld.
Yeah.
At the moment, I'm disappointed.
Oh.
And put it this way, you can watch one episode and you think, wow, where the hell is this going? It's like proper headfuck. And then the next episode is like, what a load of wank that was. And then the next episode it's like, okay, where the fuck are they going again now with the story? And then the next episode is like, that's got absolutely nothing to do with what we've just been watching for the last year. Where the hell is this going?
Does it feel a bit like with Star Wars, where you've had 6 movies that were pretty much produced and directed by the same guy, and then you've got each movie made by a different person?
Almost, because you've got like different storylines going on at the same time. But what it's doing is, it's like one episode is concentrating on one storyline, and then the next episode is concentrating on a different storyline.
Yeah.
But then the next episode is concentrating on both storylines, but they're at different times in life, but you don't know it.
Yeah, but at the moment, the storyline on the last episode I watched, at the moment, is like, what the fuck has that got to do with any of the other part of the story at all? And it was just... But put it this way, I don't mind watching films that has got subtitles. They've got subtitles because they're talking in a different language, right? But this one, the storyline was so shit, I couldn't be asked to read the subtitles. And to be honest, I fell asleep because it was that boring, the last episode. I just wasn't interested in it at all. Because it wasn't the storyline to do with the main characters. In the next episode, it probably will be that storyline, and I'll be intrigued again.
But yet, for season 1, did you feel it were a lot more structured?
Yeah, but this one's just all over the place, and it does just seem to mess with your head. But I'm having a problem at the moment watching a Westworld and thinking, okay, I'm watching this now, but what the fuck? Because last week this happened, or I remember something happening last week, but it's not continued on in this story. So what? And I'm trying to remember things from previous episodes, and I'm struggling to put things into the right order. Now it's probably made to be like that, but at the moment it's too much.
Yeah, it's probably one of those situations as well where if you waited until the end of the season and then watched them all back to back, it might make a bit more sense, because you could watch one that confuses you, but then you watch the next one that doesn't really finish the story, but the one after that does. I mean, that might be a little bit different, because something I've noticed with TV shows that I watch, when I've got to wait a week for the next episode, I don't mind that. But it's not the same as sitting there. I mean, I've mentioned this before on podcasts. I'm a fucker for it, and I've done it with House recently. As I mentioned,
binge watching,
proper binge watch. I mean, the thing is, when you binge watch, it's like a season of Westworld, for example. You could sit there and watch season 1, and it's like 20 episodes, 40 minutes an episode. So it's a hell of a lot of minutes. But it's effectively a movie that lasts that amount of episodes, right? So it's an extremely long movie is what it is. So season 2 would be easier to watch in that extremely long movie structure. And that's what I tend to do, I think, when I binge watch. I'll start watching and then you watch the next one, because you're continuing on that story. And with Westworld, it is definitely a head fuck. So I think if you had the others there ready to watch, perhaps you would be more interested in clicking the next one. I mean, I thought, what was that one TV show you got me to watch last year that was proper fucking weird?
Wayward Pines.
Wayward Pines, right? That was a head fuck. Westworld, I was alright with until not the last episode, the one before, and it's taken over from Wayward Pines. In like, I've watched 25 episodes, and only now have I realised most of what I've watched, I've understood it incorrectly.
It's almost as if everything you've been watching beforehand has been a lie, and you've got to watch it all over again to understand it.
Yeah.
I think the only movie which I've watched and I've kind of felt a bit like that were a Leonardo DiCaprio movie called Shutter Island.
I've not seen that.
Now that's a one movie where you watch it and then you get to the end of the movie, you realise something, and you realise, hang on, this is a completely different movie. And yet, when you watch it the second time, it becomes way better because you know something that you didn't know.
Yeah.
And it is, I've got to say, the first time you watch it, you think, that's odd. That's a bit weird, That's a bit odd. They've acted a bit weird. And then when you get to the end, and you realise what it is, and then you go back and watch it, you're like, oh, that's why they're doing that. Oh, that's why they're looking like that. And there's just little nuggets which have been left in there on purpose, which on first glance make you think one thing, and then the second time you watch it, you're like, actually, it means something completely different.
Yeah.
So, loads of people that I know of, whenever I mention the word Shutter Island, they go, oh, I hated that movie, it's well weird. And it isn't until you watch it the second time that you actually get it.
Appreciate it, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I must admit, there's a few films that I'm waiting for at the moment. I'm looking forward to the next Avengers. I mean, we were talking a little bit before we came live, and I've been watching a few things on YouTube recently. I mean, I must admit, I'm fascinated by space and NASA and the story of Challenger, Columbia, and all those kind of it sounds bad, disaster stories, but also Apollo, and how, like Ron Howard was saying that when they did the pre-screens of Apollo 13, people were complaining that the story was unrealistic and there's no way people would have survived, even though it was a true story. But I do like that kind of feel to a film where it doesn't matter what you believe could be possible. If it actually happened, it actually happened. And one video I was watching was basically it was someone rating how correct a film producer had got certain aspects of a movie. So, for example, the one I saw was about The Martian. And I think the film The Martian is a brilliant film. I've watched it a number of times, and they were talking about how correct certain aspects were, like the dust storm at the start of the movie. Turns out that they cheated a bit with that, because for the winds, I mean, I would never have known this if I hadn't watched this video, for the winds to be strong enough to blow a dust storm that could knock somebody off their feet at Mars would have to be of wind speeds of over 500 miles an hour, because the atmosphere is so thin that 500 mile an hour wind would be the equivalent of a 100 mile an hour wind here. So it'd have to be so much faster. But because
sounds ridiculous, though.
It does, but this is the thing, because the atmosphere is so thin, the winds can't get that strong. Yes,
if the atmosphere is that thin, how would we cope with like breathing? You know, like if we like on Aliens, they have colonies that go out to. Actually, I watched Aliens the other day, and that is a fucking shit out movie. Just all the it's one of them movies where it starts and you get all the background of what happened in the previous movie, with, for example, Ripley and having nightmares about what happened and stuff like that, and you're not introduced to the crew of basically the soldiers until about 30 minutes in, and straight away I've got to say how James Cameron introduced them characters. I mean, normally in a movie when you have a big group of characters introduced, you get a bit like, oh, I kind of think he's alright, and I'll sort of
support him.
Yeah, he seems like the most decent one out of a lot of them. Every single one of them characters has something about them that's a bit like... They're a bit weird, but they're all a bit likeable.
Yeah.
And even when they're wrong, you kind of like, yeah, well, if you were a person who had not seen the original Alien, you might have their perspective.
Yeah.
So when
It's a little bit like when they say, right, you can't fire any bullets, take all the bullets off everyone. And they're like, what the fuck? He's like, don't argue, just collect all the bullets. So they collect all the bullets, but one of them, the lady, she's like, right, with the big gun, she's like, right, here's a clip for me and here's a clip for you. Because if we're out here hunting fucking aliens, I want a fucking bullet.
But as well, like, just the way that they're introduced when they're on them, they're lying down on them beds.
Yeah.
And they all open up, and as you saw in the making of documentary, they only had like 5 of them.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to make the room look bigger, they put a mirror at the end of the room, and then it looked like there were 10. And they all open up, and then just all the characters, as soon as they wake up, like that drill sergeant wakes up from hypersleep. First thing he does is stick his cigar in his mouth and just starts chomping.
Yeah.
It's like, in all other movies, when somebody wakes up from hypersleep, they're like, oh my god, this is horrific, and I feel like my body's like malfunctioning and like being sick and stuff. Him straight away is wake up, cigar.
Wash his face.
And as well, like the other one who's like, oh, this floor's so cold, and he's like, what do you want me to do, go get your slippers for you? And he's like, oh, would you, sir? That'd be really nice. It's like, hey Hicks, you look just how I feel.
You know, there's two interesting things about that film as well. Was that there was meant to be quite a strong aspect of a love story between Ripley and Hicks, right?
Yeah.
Which was supposed to carry on into the next film, but it turns out it didn't. However, the guy who played Hicks, he actually only got the job, I think, a month or 2 before shooting. Somebody else had the job, but they were fired. So he came in late. But he was, as far as he was aware, once he'd wrapped up the film, it was like, the next one, you should be in it, bit of a love story, kind of. You got him, Ripley, the girl, see what happens. It turns out that's not what happened, and the guy didn't actually know fully that he wasn't going to be in the film until a friend of his was, or someone that he knew had been working or had gone to visit a special effects guy and basically saw Hicks's body mangled in like a disgusting way, rang up the guy who played Hicks and says, you know the Aliens movies, are you meant to be in the next one? He's like, well, I believe so. Why? He says, well, I'm seeing a dead body of yours. And found out that he's not going to be in the movie.
And not only that, they'd not asked him to use his likeness.
Yeah. So you know was using it. Yeah. So that's why in the movie, the next one, his face was mangled, and the only likeness of him there actually was his picture on the computer screen, and he said that he got paid more for that picture than he did for the whole of the first film. Because he held him to ransom for it.
That's completely bonkers, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, you could have asked him to come back and play the part, and you could have paid less.
Yeah.
Than put up his picture for 5 seconds and pay more.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one of them movies where that is a proper game changer. Like in terms of like characters, I'd love to see something like that in Star Wars, where you hang around with like a group of super soldiers who think that they're shit hot, and then they come up against something that is like out of their control, and they all turn from big macho men to little pussies running around going, ah!
Well, something I watched recently. It's an old favourite of mine, and I won't be surprised if when I mention it, you, James, will probably go, "Oh yeah." And it's an old film, but it's surprising just how old it was. Contact.
I've only ever seen that. I think I saw it last month. Wait, is it Helen Hunt?
No, Jodie Foster.
Jodie Foster, that's it. Yeah, Jodie Foster.
Yeah, it's the white noise one, isn't it?
Yeah. Well,
yeah, I was thinking a Twister, but yeah, I know the one you mean. Yeah. Has it got Matthew McConaughey in it?
It has, yeah. That Twister one, that's also got the guy who was in Aliens in it. That's a really good film, actually.
Bill Paxton.
Bill Paxton. But no, Contact, for its time, I think it was 1998 or something like that, or it might even been earlier than that. I'm not going to check. But I just happened to watch it again the other day, and I must admit, I did fancy Jodie Foster when she was younger. The funny thing about that is me and Steve used to know someone called Jodie Foster, and definitely not female. But yeah, I didn't know that the story of the film Contact, 1997 it was actually written by Bill Sagan, who might not mean much to us, but is a very famous American scientist, and was very well known for doing TV shows about space and stuff like that. And him and a lady, I don't remember her name, became his wife, wrote the story of Contact. And in the film, it wasn't actually supposed to be one person that went into the pod. It was meant to be 5, but for cinematic reasons they changed it to 1 because they felt it just worked better. But that's a film that took a very interesting story and also very good special effects for its time. I thought it was a very good film, even now.
Yeah. But it's weird how you can look at stuff like that. And recently, since having Bella, you'd normally say, what does it matter having a dog? Like, what's that got to do with films? But I always play the believability card. I think if she can believe something's real and get scared of it or growl at the TV, whoever the filmmaker is, they've decently done the job. Unless she's growling at, like, Toy Story, you know what I mean? But the other day, I put on the making of Jurassic Park. And I think you might remember the shot. They did, like, a test for the first CG shot of a T-Rex, and it was walking out of some trees, just walking in the sunlight, walked past camera. Well, originally they did, like, a walking skeleton of a T-Rex. And straight away, Bella, my dog, looked at the skeleton of this T-Rex walking and automatically went, like, I'm going to rip that thing's head off. And then it showed the CG shot of it walking through the grass. And straight away, she was like, oh my God, I'm going to rip that thing's head off. And then it showed a few clips from the movie where the T-Rex breaks out of its enclosure and it's hanging around cars and walking about. And she was growling her head off. And then I thought, actually, you know what? I'll do a bit of a test. I might video this next time. I did a bit of a test. I put on Jurassic World, where there is no actual physical, what's it called? Like animatronics. It's all CG. And I put that on, and she just sat there and looked at it. And straight away I thought, she knows, just being a dog, that ain't real. Whereas the animatronic
was a real
thing. She believed, yeah, she's a dog, she's not smart. But her believability thing in her head thought it was real. And for that, I always think, you know what, if I were a filmmaker, I'd just, as my test subjects, I wouldn't have people there, I'd just have a load of dogs. And if they all go apeshit at the screen, you know you've done a good job, because you know the believability factor, you've fooled them.
Yeah.
And this is probably why I'd probably end up getting kicked out of the movie business, because I'd be like, James, we need to get... So what are the results looking like? Yeah, they're looking good. All dogs went apeshit. What?
But it's interesting, though, you mentioned about believability, because something else that I watched recently, because, I mean, it's something else that fascinates me. I mentioned before about, like, air crash investigations and stuff like that. And MH370, right, the Malaysian Airlines plane that disappeared, right? there's a number of different people that believe different theories. You got a lot of people that believe the plane was flown to not Sergio Garcia but Diego Garcia, an island that's owned by the UK that is rented to America, and it's a secret airbase for them. People believe that the plane was flown there, is in a Faraday cage. But there's not a lot of evidence to back that up. Then you got the crash investigators, who you got one group that basically say, right, well, this is where we now think that the plane is, and this is what we believe. But then you got another group of crash investigators who go, well, all of your evidence is bullshit. This is our evidence that suggests that the plane is actually 100 miles over here. But the first group are like, well, we don't believe you, we're going to do our thing. And it's kind of a situation where that plane needs to be found to find out what happened to it. But one group believe one thing, and if they're right, they'll find the plane. But if they're wrong, they won't find the plane. And not only will they not find the plane, but chances are that funding will be dropped so nobody else can go and try and find the plane in the other area. So it's like believability is a very interesting thing when it comes to real life stuff, but also, like for example, District 9, right? It's a ridiculous film, but at the same time it is portrayed in a way that it is realistic. When I started watching District 9, I'm like, is this a real story? But then when it started going on about aliens and shit, I was like, okay, it's not a real story. It's not a proper documentary. But the way that it was put across does make you think, hang on, this looks fucking real. It makes you believe it. Whereas something like I can't think of anything that The Dark Tower, for example, is a film I watched recently. I struggled to get into that with the believability. There was something a house did, and when that happened, I was like, you kind of lost me a bit here.
I watched The Dark Tower, and I remember absolutely fuck all about it apart from its name. That's how good it was.
Were it starring Idris Elba? That one?
Yeah.
It's
funny
that because he's had a proper bad year of bombs. Me and Vicky watched one, I think about 2 weeks ago, and straight away I said, let's just watch this for comedy value, because after 2 minutes, believability was out of the window. It started, I think it was starring him and Kate Winslet. You might have seen an advert for it, where they're on a plane, it crash lands on like a snowy mountain, and they've got to survive.
Right, I don't remember that one.
Well, don't worry, don't bother watching it. It's utter shit.
Yeah.
Straight away, the plane crash, you're on board with both him and Kate Winslet as the plane crashes. It is hilarious because the green screen is horrific. If that plane had actually crashed the way that they showed it crashed, they would have been flying mince.
Yeah.
There was no way that plane could have landed the way it did. And literally, all that Kate Winslet had was a bruise on her head, and she was unconscious for an hour. Idris Elba were completely fine. The pilot, he'd had an heart attack, but yet he was completely fine as well. And like, you'd all be mince. You're on a little private plane. You're not on something super sturdy. And the acting was horrific. I think like a big jumbo jet flew. It said like 2 days later. Oh, it was just like really, really shit dialogue. Like, oh, there's been nobody here, and they're both going like, help, help. I'm like, you're in the middle of fucking nowhere. Why would you waste your breath? Save your energy.
The thing is, I've watched a film. It's a bit of a sort of secret favourite of mine. It's called The Sorcerer's Apprentice. Right? Just from the name alone, it makes you think, well, magic's bullshit, and it is.
It sounds like a Harry Potter film.
It kind of does, but it's actually a Nicolas Cage film. But the way the film is done, it is about magic, but it's done in a believable way. It's more believable than snakes on a plane, let me put it that way.
I've done with these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane. Talking of that, what else did I watch that made me laugh? There's something. What were we just on about before we said snakes on the plane?
Dark Tower and Idris Elba.
Dark Tower. Oh, there was something else. Oh, what right now? Something I've watched. Oh, it'll come back to me in a minute. Oh, another thing. You know, last week, just after we wrapped up, I think it was like we'd wrapped up about 12ish. I went to the toilet because my throat was starting to hurt again. I went to the toilet, went to sleep, but not really slept, you know, just laying there with my eyes shut, waiting to nod off. And it hit about midnight. I thought, oh, I need a wee again. So I went to the toilet, and as I sit down on the toilet, I'm like, yeah, I need a poo now. So sat there, quiet as all, and bathroom window we've got wide open, and at the side of our house it's like a main road, but it's not like a main busy road, it's like a main side road, somewhere you go 30 mile an hour, but not like a main A road or like that. Just to put your head in perspective, we live by a canal, so it's not exactly a busy road, and we're sat. I'm sat on the toilet having a dump, and then all of a sudden I hear, I'm thinking, fucking hell, what's that? It sounds like the Batmobile coming up the street. And I was thinking, bloody hell, is a NASCAR on or something outside? And I'm not kidding you, in my head, I was sat on the toilet and I could hear this car coming up past the canal, up the hill towards passing our house. And I know for a fact that it's about 50 metres and then it's a T-junction at the top of the hill, where you can either literally get to the top of the hill and it's left or right. Straight forward, there's a wall and houses.
And now a car.
and now I can hear this car coming up the street going. It passes my house. Just from the sheer sound of it, I know he was not on the brakes when he went past my house. He was clear on the accelerator still. And I knew there were only 50 more metres before the T-junction. Next I hears... and then I thought, oh my fucking God, there's somebody dead outside. So I wipe my ass, get my dressing gown on. I goes to Vicky, I open the bedroom door, I go, Vicky, there's been a car crash outside. She goes, I'm sleeping. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to go out on my own. So I walks out in my dressing gown, pitch black, walks up the road, there's nothing there. And then I have a look, and there's a car smashed up against the wall, like completely demolished up against the wall. Thinking, that isn't the car that's come up the road, that's a parked car that was at the top of the hill. So this car has bombed up the hill, smashed into this car at the T-junction, reversed and driven off, and left a car at the top of the hill completely written off. I could send you a picture. It is fucking I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I couldn't take a picture at night, but the next morning I took a picture of it. And I just thought to myself, so basically, some guy's driven like a knobhead, smashed his car up and driven off. And he's probably not getting done by police. He's probably not having to phone his insurance. He's probably, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yet, if you get in a little ding with somebody and you phone insurance, your insurance whacks up massively.
Oh yeah.
But yet, if you've got the balls to just drive off, you get away with it. I don't understand it.
So what you're saying is the moral of the story is if you've got the balls, you can drive off.
Yeah, pretty much. You got the balls, drive off and just disappear.
I remember when I was in Nottingham one night, where like a bit of a car meet and people were driving around a bit like knobheads, and one bloke lost control of his car, went into a metal railing forwards, fucking panicked, it reversed, backed out, fucked off. Cops were already in the area, so they come round the corner, see that this barrier's been knocked down, so they park up, walk over, see that the bumper's there, pick it up, got the number plate on it.
good.
But I mean, you can see from this picture that I've sent you, the front end of the car is up against the curb. The back end of the car's hit the wall so hard, the back end of the car has cracked the wall and smashed it all up.
Bloody hell.
I know.
That's the same as my car, a different colour.
But yeah, I mean, that's a complete write-off. I know it just looks like two door panels.
Bent chassis.
But the
subframes had it.
Yeah. But yeah, I just don't understand now. Basically, if you've got the balls to fuck off after a crash, you get away with it. I mean, I don't know if the police have found them, but I mean, like I said, when I heard that car going past my house, I knew there were only 50 metres before the top of the hill where it's a T-junction. And he's just gone straight. I'm surprised you can't see any like tyre marks, like lock-up marks going straight towards the car. Because I heard the tyres go, boom.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I was watching a road crash investigation thing, and they were saying that even on a dry road, depending on the tarmac, the rubber the tyre marks can actually disappear within a few hours. It's one of the reasons why when there's been a serious crash, they will close the road until they've got all the photographs that they need, because quite often, especially if it's a busy road and vehicles are driving over the tyre marks,
they'll be pulling up the rubber off the road.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised that someone's done something like that. I mean, to be honest, I nearly knocked someone off a motorbike the other day, and I almost felt bad until I realised, hang on a minute, this person's a fucking knobhead. Basically, at the end of my street, there's a row of shops and there's a co-op, and when you drive down there, there's like a little lay-by bit. And the best way for me to park up in the lay-by is to actually turn left, go to a roundabout, turn round, and then pull up in the lay-by that's on the left-hand side. If that's full, you drive past the co-op, so to the right of the T-junction, and then turn left, and there's a little side street you can sometimes park in. Well, I saw that the lay-by was full, so I thought, well, I'll go down the side road. Went down the side road, there's two fucking trucks there, nowhere to park. So turn round, come out, turn left away from the co-op, and then go down to another road, turn round, coming back towards the co-op and the T-junction, and realise that the two trucks are coming out of the side road. So I'm like, okay, I'll jump back in there. So now I'm stationary in the road, indicator on, these two trucks pull out, and car flashes me forwards. I go to move forwards just as I hear the sound of a motorbike, and by this point I'm already on my way and realise it's a guy on a fucking motocross, no number plates, no helmet. Nowhere I could do, nothing I could do. Thankfully he hit the fucking brakes, because if he'd have hit me, he'd have probably fucking caused a lot of damage to himself and the car and the bike. But it just made me think, this guy's being a dickhead, overtaking cars, because there was a couple of cars behind me. I'm thinking, if you're going to ride round without a fucking helmet on, don't go driving like a fucking knobhead, because chances are you ain't going to survive.
Yeah. But you just find that these people are just like complete morons. I mean, other day, what did I have? I had somebody, well, this is it. I mean, today we had a bit of a wind-up. I won't say where I work, but near where I work, there's some houses where the residents get a bit pissed if you park outside their house.
Yeah, you told us.
Now, as long as you're not on the, like I say, anywhere near the driveway or anything like that, there's no, there's no problem. Probably the majority of them are all right. Today I turns up for work, and all of them, pretty much, I must have seen about maybe 8 houses where they'd put 4 cones in front of their house. And these cones are just random cones. They're not police cones, they're not there for any particular thing where you're like, oh yeah, there's a reason for that. It's just, they don't want you parking in front of their house. Don't even think about parking in front of your house.
So James Parks.
So I speak. Like I say, I turns up for work. I ended up being like 2 minutes late just because it took me forever to find somewhere to park. And when I did eventually find somewhere to park, I wasn't happy with where I parked because it was kind of near a corner. And I thought, somebody blasts around that corner, they're going to hit my car. So I thought, on my break, I'm going to go move my car. So then I speaks to a lad who I work with, and he used to be a copper. And he says, you know, that's illegal that for him to put cones in front of their house. I'm like, all right. He's going, what you'd be best doing is just going over and moving cone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right. Well, if he used to be a copper and he's saying just go over and move it, I'll do it. So I went out, right, and I just thought for shits and giggles, I'm going to hide with my work pass. I'm just literally going to walk around and just basically, while I'm on my break, I'm just going to piss them all off by putting all the cones on the curbs right up against the wall so that people can park. And literally just walked around, and wherever I found a cone, I just moved it. And this bloke came out of his house and walked over and went, "What are you doing?" I went, "What do you mean, what am I doing?" He was like, "What are you doing with them cones out there in front of my house?" I went, "Yeah, I'm moving them." He went, "Why?" I went, "Well, it's illegal." He went, "Well, but it's in front of my house, I can do what I want." I went, "What, so you own this road, do you?" And he was like, I went, "Well, do you know that this is a criminal offence?" And he was like, and like getting all pissed with her. And I was like, "Look, mate, I'm doing you a favour here, because if I don't move these and police see them, you can be done for this." And he was like, and then like moved them all. Eventually moved my car somewhere else. But then my mate Paul with me, and he went, "Oh, did you hear what that bloke was just saying behind your back and all this?" Like, I went, "You know what, Paul? I couldn't give a flying shit what he was saying, because end of the day, they're just knobheads who think they just think that they're like above the law and can do what they want." And what I noticed were the lad who I'd spoke to said that it were illegal. He apparently went out on his lunch break. He says, "If you move them and I go back out and they've all been moved back, I'm going to take photos of them." He says he walked back out and they'd all been moved back out in front of the houses.
Yeah.
He took photographs of them, and he apparently tonight he's got phoned police. Basically said for tomorrow to go round the houses, he's forward the pictures on. And this is said to go around the houses, knock on the doors, and basically like bollock them for doing it. So I'm like, yes, brilliant. So yeah, you know, but like I say, they don't want you parking in front of their driveway, which is fair enough. And I never do park in front of somebody's driveway. But the thing that just really, really winds me up is because they're then putting cones everywhere, it's forcing people to park in dangerous positions, like near corners of roads. And, yeah. And for them, yeah, it might be a bit of an annoyance for 6 hours or whatever. Yeah, but you know, at the end of the day, it's tough when you purchase an house. You know what I mean? Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Like
I just think
it's a little bit like where my dad has worked for God knows how many years, 30 years, probably longer actually, 40 years. One of the entrances to the site is basically it's on a side road and there's houses there. And I've had it before when I've been picking him up, where people have come out and sort of bollocked me for parking there, and it's like, well, look, I mean, they haven't even got drives, so I can understand them being frustrated if they want to park outside their own house. I can understand that a bit more, but at the same time, if you live there, before you move in, there's a massive, I mean, you're talking thousands of people's working site right across the street from where you work. So when you go to look at a house there, you would see that there's plenty of traffic on the road and that there's a big site there. And I mean, okay, the estate
you'd anticipate.
Exactly, you'd anticipate the fact that it's a little bit like if you go and live next door to a school. Common sense says between
3 o'clock it's going to be rammed.
Exactly, exactly.
And at lunchtime it's going to be as noisy as hell.
Yeah. so you can't really complain about it. And I mean, yeah, I can understand people getting pissed off if you're blocking the driveway, but if you're not, they're getting annoyed for no reason, to be honest.
Yeah. But yeah, it just sort of like wound me up, and like I say, my mate were going, "Oh, did you hear what he just said behind you?" And I just went, "Look, I really couldn't care what he said, because at the end of the day, he's a knobhead." But yeah,
you know what to do next time is after tomorrow, if the cones are there, you go and pick them all up, put them in your car, and then just park up there. And then when the person who tries to do you for stealing the cones, you know who it is that he's reporting. But
yeah. Also, what's your name? Give me a name and I'll give you a cone back.
My name's on those cones. That's how I can prove that they're mine. All right, okay, sad. But no, I mean,
yeah.
Your mate is right though. Police have the authority to position cones. But even then,
so does the local council. But what I was going to say is, what you should do is get in touch with the local council and say, some workmen have left some cones on this street. They need to come and collect them. Get the council to come and collect the cones.
Well, it's interesting you mention about the council there. I can't remember if we talked about it on the podcast or not, but I watched a documentary last night called Fatberg Autopsy, which I know Steve had mentioned to me before. I can't remember if it was on the podcast or not. I don't know if it was the same one that you watched, but the one I watched was fucking disgusting.
I'm pretty sure it's the same one. Where they sent first of all they sent the young lad down who had a funny nickname. Manol, that's it. Yeah.
If you've not seen it, James, I reckon you should watch. Maybe that's what next week's game should be. We get James to watch this Fatberg and we quiz him on it.
Yeah.
But it turned out that, I mean, I first heard about the Fatberg because there was apparently one found that was 250 metres long, and it was the biggest one ever recorded. This one, the documentary was about, is about 750 metres long, and well, it's I don't even know how to explain it. It's fucking disgusting. I mean, I've watched the Animal Autopsy, Inside Nature's Giants. Find them fascinating, and that's one of the reasons why I watched this. I thought maybe it's a similar type of program, and it is, but it's fucking disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, can you just imagine being one of them people going into the sewers?
Oh,
I mean, they've got the special detection things on them, so if there's too much, I don't think it's methane, but there's a gas
Sodium.
That's nitrate or whatever, something that's too potent. Yeah, and when their alarms start going off, they have to come out.
This is just a message for Ross Braun. I've fixed term 1 at Monaco.
Well, what have you done?
And the little red lines are like big sleeping policemen.
Oh, I'd move the apex curve back. Yeah, that would make it more interesting to...
You get more of a chance of making an overtake, wouldn't you?
Yeah, with a much wider entry.
You could try and outbrake somebody around the outside. They could try and defend turn 1, but they wouldn't be able to completely cover it off like they can now.
It's not a bad idea.
I mean, I don't see why they don't do that, to be honest. I mean, I'm not going to try and show it on the podcast at the moment, but for anyone that watches the Grand Prix this weekend, where the pit lane yellow line is, imagine the apex curve being quite close to it. It would make you'd have much more... would you have much more overtaking opportunity because it's less of a braking zone?
Well, I was kind of thinking about this, and I was thinking, make it a little bit more of a shallower corner, but make it a bit, I don't know. I don't know, but at least you'd have more of an option of trying it round the outside, I think.
True.
Somebody could try and hit the apex, but then if you have them sleeping policemen on the apex, if they take too much curb, they're fucking going flying into the wall. Like, I put a big yellow line where there'd be a massive sausage curb, where if they took too much apex, they're going straight forward.
Yeah.
So you could try and cover the inside and take more speed, but you could also try it round the outside. And that'd be where, if you were like in a Red Bull with more aero, you could probably do it.
Yeah. Well,
you could. But this is what I mean. You know, like for GP2, you could change that curve for GP2
and see where
and then
get on.
And see how they get on, and then they'd have a bit of an evaluation.
Maybe. Well, they should try a few things. I mean, considering that the only corner that's really been changed is the second part of the Harbour chicane, they should look. I mean, the last few corners aren't going to change. Don't need changing, to be honest. I don't think. But turn 1, there is a bit of room there, and maybe they should open it up a bit, or do something to give more opportunity to overtake. Because at the moment there ain't a lot. Not unless you try doing what Verstappen did and get it completely wrong, running into the back of Grosjean and having a 30G crash. But,
yeah. But that's another one where you look at Verstappen, you look at his career. He's either crashed or he's won. It's like that kind of ratio.
Yeah.
It's like either all or nothing.
Do you know
like what?
It reminds me of that Will Ferrell film where he's a NASCAR driver. If you ain't first, you last.
She can bake.
Yeah.
She can bake. That's what we'll have to say whenever he shakes and baked.
Yeah, his souffle's dropped.
Yeah.
If you don't eat a cookie, you won't get that. But anyway,
I just can't wait to see his sister's round face.
Again, I thought you was going to say something perverted. I don't know why, but
it's just because she runs his Twitter. Because he's apparently he pays his sister to run his own Twitter page. I mean, who gets paid to faff about on the phone?
Someone at Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull.
It's mental, isn't it? Mental.
Well, I mean, I remember seeing something not that long ago, where someone was complaining about a famous person's Twitter, because it was like, I'm going to use Fernando Alonso as an example because it's just a name that pops in my head. Fernando Alonso official, right? And it says something like, tonight I'm going to be doing this and I'm going to be doing that, and then someone's gone, how have you been able to tweet this when you're driving? And like little things like that, it's like, okay, well, clearly somebody else is running your Twitter account because you're doing one thing and your Twitter, like, you've just posted a message, you can't do them both. But I mean, I could understand. I mean, if I wouldn't want to deal with Twitter, so if I was rich, paying someone to do it for me, yeah, maybe not bad. But have you ever heard about this thing you can have? I'm not sure if you can still do it. I remember seeing it on QI. There was 2 rather gruesome things you could do, and it's mainly in America. One of them is that you can have a camera put into your coffin so people can watch you.
Look at your corpse decay.
Yeah, and the website was called something like watchmerot.com. Or something like that. But one of the comedians actually said, how scary would it be, like, if you had, like, you decided, right, okay, I'm gonna have this camera, but you're also gonna have like a mechanical, like something on your hand, like a bit of wire that can't be seen, so every now and again your hand lifts up and scratches your nose or something. But another one is that there's a computer program that can pick up on your Facebook posts and your Twitter posts and stuff that you post, and then when you die, it can keep posting for you.
Why would you want it to?
God knows.
What's the point?
Fuck knows, but people will do it. Anyway, right, I don't know about you guys, but I think I'm all out of weird stories after watchmerot.com came up.
That is freaky. Imagine if you'd buried somebody and you were just watching and you just saw them like screaming and they were all alive.
Have you seen the film? Have you seen the film Buried Alive?
I've seen Kill Bill 2.
No, there's a film. I don't know if it's actually called Buried Alive, but basically there's a guy that is buried alive and he's got a mobile phone, and he's trying to He's got in contact with the police. He's told the police that he's buried, doesn't know where he is, and he's only got so much amount of battery, and they've worked out how long he's probably going to have to live because of the amount of oxygen. And there is soil coming through as well, so he has got soil on top of him. He's not just in a box. And throughout the whole film, it's just like it makes you feel, it's really claustrophobic. It makes you feel like you're in there with him. And a bit of a spoiler, I'll give the story away. But basically, the police are like, yeah, we found you, we've got you, we're digging you up now. Can you hear us? We're digging. And they open up the casket, and it's not him. It's not him. It's a different person. And it's like, no, you're not here. We've got no idea where you are.
You're not here, mate. Where are you?
You're kind of fucked now. We don't know. So he ends up dying, basically, because they dig up the wrong coffin. They don't know where he is. But it's one of those where you think, it makes you believe that he's going to get out. And then you realise, nah, he's fucked. But they don't, I'm pretty sure as well, they don't actually catch the person that put him in it. They don't even go into that storyline. It's all about trying to get him out. There you go.
Well, some movies like that can be quite interesting, that finish without finishing, so to speak. But I mean, you never know. There might still be a Titanic 2 yet.
Yeah.
You know, I said I've done this update for me editing software.
Yeah.
It's managed to do it. It said it were going to take 19 hours. It's only took like 2. I've just gone on, and now all the buttons have moved, and I'm like, where the fuck are they? I know where they were before.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a ball ache.
I have that with my computer, sometimes my PC. I have all of my desktop files like positioned on the screen for certain things, like for example when doing this podcast, everything I need for the podcast is in, like, say, the top right corner, and if I'm racing it's the bottom right corner. When the computer does a Windows update, it just moves everything to the left. And I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, you
like right now, all I want to do is reverse the image so that everything goes backwards rather than forwards, and I know where the button used to be and it's not there. Oh, fuck's sake.
It's going to be fun for you. Right.
I think we're done, aren't we?
Just about, I think so. I know there was something else I was going to mention. It was some kind of conspiracy theory thing, but it's gone from my mind. I've watched so many videos recently about Area 51 and the NASA space missions and stuff like that. There was something I was going to mention to you that I didn't think you would both know about, but I can't remember what it was, so even I don't know about it, so I'm not going to worry about it for now. So, I think if we wrap up then, we spent about an hour talking about Monaco and 2.5 hours talking about random stuff, but there we go. That's the nature of our podcast. Okay, so obviously Monaco Grand Prix is this weekend, with practice on Thursday, the race on Sunday. We've done our predictions, where Steve thinks that, Steve doesn't think that Hamilton's going to get pole in the win, because he thinks that Vettel's going to end up on the top step of the podium, but it's just the usual unfair play tactics from Steve. James thinks that Kimi Räikkönen is going to take pole in the victory, and I think that Ricciardo is going to take pole and Verstappen will take victory, but I also think that Ricciardo might win it. We all think that someone's going to definitely crash out. Steve thinking that Grosjean is going to be the causer of carnage in Monaco, and we'll find out how right he was when the race happens on Sunday, and when we are back on Tuesday for a review of the Monaco Grand Prix. So make sure you like, subscribe, and come and check us out for that review on Tuesday. This is a bit where you can say goodbye now, guys.
Goodbye now, guys.
Bye now. Bye.
Thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll see you next week. Bye bye.
Blah 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 blah.